Okay, board training of the Board of Trustees of East Central ISD will be held February 5th, 2026, beginning at 5 p.m. At 6634 New Silver Springs Road, San Antonio, Texas, in the boardroom. Madam Secretary, can I get a roll call?
I would love to do that. I don't see my role.
Your roll,
But I can do this. Ginger Friesenheim.
Here.
David Santos.
Yes, ma'am, here.
Del Brazil is here. Monique Places.
Present.
Camila Carrasco.
I'm here.
And then,
Randall.
Randall.
I'm here.
Randall Gear, I don't know, he's trying to come. Randall
All right,
Gear, okay.
thank you. We have a vote. All right, thank you, Madam Secretary. Here's your papers, you can-
Here we go. Oh, okay.
Prayer and pledge?
Yeah, Mr. Preston.
All right, let's pray. Rich Father, we thank you so much for this day and this opportunity you give us to learn. Father, I pray that you would help each and every one of us here to put you in everything that we do and say. And Lord, I pray that you put a hedge about this district, put a hedge about each one of our families while we're separate from them. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, I don't believe we have any public comments, so the next item is 5, the SGS Board Pathway Training.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Yes. And my colleague Laura Christopher will be joining us shortly. But first I just want to give a shout out to the district. So this week, East Central ISD and San Antonio ISD hosted what are called Learning Labs. And it's an opportunity for districts within the SGS network to come together and learn, how different districts are approaching the work. And it was an amazing event. I say that because, since I have so much knowledge of SCIC, I tended to go with the East Central route. And so Roland did a great job of opening it up, talking about the work, acknowledging how difficult it is, but all the successes that you've had so far, gave an introduction of the district. Then we had an opportunity to go visit schools, so I got to go to Salado. And if I could check all the boxes for all the right things being done by the principal, by the teachers, with students in the classroom, I would do that. It was an amazing visit. We got to observe teachers in a professional learning setting, having a meeting to plan for kids, and it was textbook. And when we asked them, how long they've been doing that, they said they started that work last year. So that's huge. Laura went to a different school and saw the exact same thing, which was another testimonial to the work of the district. And then Shane did an amazing job of talking about the district's strategic compensation work. And then it made me think about this time last year, as a new district to SGS, your team was in Ector County, which is Odessa, Texas, watching them do kind of a fishbowl activity of a performance management meeting. And so your team did that for everyone at this lab, and you just started that work, really. You've only done it like a few months, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so again, it was a huge learning opportunity for everybody and very well executed. So kudos to the team. I wanted to make sure that the board heard that. It was great.
I finally made something, I went and they did really good. I was proud of them. Our group did good in the fishbowl.
That's right.
I was fixing to drag a chair over there and I don't know who it was, said, if you don't want to, unless you want to be in the talk, you better not move. I'm like, okay, I'll sit right here. I'll sit back here by the wall.
Yeah, that was an amazing exercise.
They did really good.
Yeah, they did a great job.
I was impressed.
Yes. Okay, so to get sort of reoriented to what we've been doing with SGS up to this point, if we could take a minute to think about, because you're a team of 8. I know Coach Mulkey's not here yet, but we will be a team of 8 tonight. And so I'm excited to have you think about this question and what resonates with you when you think about either your professional experience or your personal experience working on a highly effective team, where the team accomplished something that probably at the beginning was a big lift, maybe people didn't think you'd be able to do it, but you were able to do it. What was that thing? What did y'all accomplish And how did you work together as a team to do that? Like, what was the thing that you think really got you over the hurdle? So take a minute to think about that. It can be personal or professional.
Oh, not necessarily.
It doesn't have to be as a board, although if you have a board example, you can speak to that.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question. I know from personal or professional. What was
A
the
time when you were part of the team
question?
and you accomplished something amazing.
Oh, okay.
What did you accomplish? And how did y'all function as a team that you thought really made the difference in that?
I think we did well when the system of great schools was brought out and brought along, and everybody was on board and excited about what we would see happen, you know, without even really knowing what it all entailed, but just the fact that it was very positive, and the fact that we could see some changes that we've been looking for in a better way to see those changes happen. Everybody on the board was really excited about doing it. So as a team, I think we all jumped in.
So you had common interests or
We did.
common vision of what you were trying to.
Yeah, I think everybody was excited and really bought into the idea of the SGS.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you for going first.
I'll go since I actually just came back from a business trip, so off board topic, but went to both Oklahoma and Fort Worth the span of 3 days. And yesterday morning culminated with a huge presentation to be my largest oil and gas customer. Already had a relationship well before I got there, but I've got a good relationship with a lot of the buyers, the sales folks. Long story short, went there to solidify our place in what we do. We've got a lot of competition like everything else, so I put together a nice PowerPoint presentation about technical aspects. Well, my president was with us and my technical sales director. So we did it, everything on the mark. Everybody was engaged. President of the company was on board with everything, and I think I got a $300,000 PO just this morning, so just from last night. So I'm like, yeah, that worked out
That's awesome.
extremely well. So as a team, collectively, we went there with a mindset of picking apart the presentation, what we were offering, what we were going to do, and the strategy to get more of what they had. We don't have 100% of their business, but you know, I'm working on trying to get that. So making concessions to pricing, delivery, things of that sort, you know, went very well. I'm in a good mood.
Really?
I have one, just excuse my nasal sounding self, but so every year we take a group of teenagers to summer camp in Pensacola, Florida. So we did the old-fashioned way. We load them up in vans and church buses. We call them mini buses. Anyway, taking a group of 30 is challenging, but last year we took 54, and I was proud of my team because of my absence, but having all the structure and all the things in place kind of just helped bring them back safely. So it's always neat and gratifying to take them up there. And I'm usually on the track coming back, but I was graduating as master trustee, and so I had to leave to make the graduation. And but seeing all the things that are in place work even without me there, but seeing the team come together in my absence was amazing. But all the prep work prior to, just very fulfilling and satisfying.
So people probably understood what the expectations were, good communication, things like that.
And my better half was there.
Oh.
So she runs a tight ship just as much as I do, and she understood, and they all understood, and they respect her just as much as they respect me.
So shared leadership within the team too.
100%.
I had her on FaceTime so that she could see him graduate.
Oh,
She did.
that's awesome.
Well, I belong to an international health commission. I'm a nurse, and for our church. And when I say international, it really is across like 7 continents or whatever. And we're a connectional church, which means that we connect on different levels. And so at the level of the Health Commission, I'm a member of the executive board. And actually, I'm the secretary. I could And so, kind of trying to get meetings and pull them together. When you're looking at people nationally and internationally, with all of the different time zones, it's no smart, it's no small thing. So I think because I brought my skill of when I was working in a hospital, I did schedules, I was in management and trying to get people on the same. But my point is, I think just because, and it's so vast, but to narrow it down, and in the church we talk about, I'm sure, about gifts, our spiritual gifts. And so when you're talking about people and you appreciate that everyone has one and they have brought something to that group, that's when you really connect, because we're mostly professionals, mostly physicians, scientists, nurses, nurse practitioners. We're mostly, but we do have others that are in public health and that kind of thing. And then we have people that may want to volunteer, that serve in the regular membership to share information if they don't have those professionals in their church or in their and that kind of thing. But bringing it all together, I was just kind of smiling because we were having a meeting next week, and I've been working on it like 2 weeks, trying to get everything and share information so that information can go out into the home. But you really appreciate that everybody brings something to the table, and so we all can learn something, even though I'm really, really old, I keep telling them. And they treat me the same way. You're not old, I am almost late. I cannot keep doing this. But at any rate, it is a real joy because we know that we're doing something like it's amazing how I connect myself to things that, that I really enjoy serving and helping people. So I see that as a way to work together and a real plus. You've got to appreciate everybody in order to work together. It just doesn't work if you don't appreciate what other people.
I heard lots of things. I heard leveraging individual strengths within the team. I heard the power of just the team as a whole being able to come together all in the same time, same place, whatever that might look like. Finding joy in what you're doing, feeling a sense of service. I heard lots of different messages as you talked about what your teaming experience has meant. So thank you. That's awesome.
I'll go next. Can I go or
No, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm in the same leadership program that Emilio graduated from. So in that program, you select which topic you want to do your research project on. And I did not want to do finance at all. School finance gives me a headache. So I did not want to do that. So I chose the legislative portion. And I went to the Capitol a couple times to talk to our representatives and things like that about public education. And I thought that I didn't know a lot. I knew basics, but I thought, okay, well, I'll be on this and I'll help contribute as much as I can. We were going to set up a Zoom because we work each session that we join together. That Saturday is our time to work together as a group. And we've been doing okay, but nobody really brought anything, and so I created some slides because I'm not good with that either, but I did it, and I put some stuff on paper, and I emailed it to them, and they all were, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I'm thinking, okay, well, that was bare bones minimum. I thought, I didn't want to dive in and give them too much. I wanted to start small, and I thought, well, I don't know that much either. There are people that know way more than I do. So I thought that was kind of cool that everybody thought that I did the best work, the most work. I did do the work and nobody else really submitted anything, so we had that to work off of. So I guess I did contribute the most. But hearing that we're school board members, we should be the biggest advocates and speak to those legislators to get them on the right track as far as what they're voting on. So it's weird to think that not a lot of trustees know that. not weird, but I don't know what the word is I'm looking for.
Sad.
Sad?
Yeah.
It's sad.
From my
But
point
we're
of view.
getting there.
From my point of view.
We're getting there.
Yep.
And just having that and being able to, we're gonna do a session at SLI to speak to them about new trustees and what you should be doing, your role, and you put into it as much as you want, and that kind of thing, so that was kind of cool. But I did good on a Zoom.
Oh,
Well, I
good.
heard that you took a risk,
Yes.
right? You took a risk. You
Yes,
did something
I
that
did.
was outside
I was
of your
very
comfort
nervous about
zone.
it. Yep.
You were willing to lead within the team. You know,
Yeah.
that's unique. And I would also say, I don't know if it was your personality or maybe your experience from this team that kind of gave you the courage to do that also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I probably, ABC's all I need. But it is this team that gave me courage, I know it was. These two guys are amazing, and just here, like, seeing what I see and going off of that, you're right, like, it started here where before I wouldn't have never put together anything like that, and I did it.
Yeah, good.
That's
That's
good.
awesome.
Well, I've noticed this is a high functioning team. So
Yeah.
it's a good background to have going into other spaces.
Mhm. Not jealousy.
So I work for the government. Government likes to reorganize a whole lot. So we always have this issues of, we want to move people from the first floor to the third floor, or this room to that room. And constantly they want connections that aren't there. Network connections here, network connections there. So we get the challenge of, let's go and find a way to get this done without costing a lot of money. So I got to lead them and find connections that were unknown that were there. But I have airmen that are really energetic, and you tell them something and they just take it. You don't even have to tell them, you have to suggest something sometimes. And they're like, oh, I'm gonna go do that. They take off and do it. So having that support of younger people and then support of my commander and stuff to back me up on my decisions also is huge.
Right.
So and I enjoy doing it, so that's why I'm still there.
Awesome. It takes the right culture, right, for them to feel like they can take the initiative.
Yes,
Yeah, but that's huge.
you have to feel like they're allowed to.
Absolutely.
Thanks. I think y'all have to go.
What about, I was gonna say, one or both of you, is there an example that you can think of from the school, the district leadership lens?
Tons of examples. I would just say, just in general, the most impactful team-based scenarios that I've been part of are those where everybody's clear about the mission, and the mission's bigger than any one of us individually. And you know, we never lose sight of that. And there's humility up and down the chain of the team, such that whatever it takes, you know, from me individually to contribute to us as a team achieving our mission, we're all in for that. And when I've been part of teams like that and been able to develop teams like that, like the impossible is always possible. And we always seem to look back and go, how in the heck did we accomplish that? Because it's beyond what we thought we were even shooting for. And so I think that's just, it's doable to create that condition where the mission is what drives us. We all share that mission, and we put ourselves aside and think of ourselves less in an effort to contribute to the whole effort of achieving it.
Anything you want to add?
Hard to follow. I thought of a specific example. So I was still at the high school as a principal. It was 2020. We hadn't seen our kids in several months, and we were trying to mobilize a drive-through graduation because everything started to shut down. And so I just think about the way the district completely came together like never seen before, from all of our district nurses being at a station to do the health screeners that were coming in, from all of our fine arts and music teachers, making sure that we had speakers that were playing it. We even had somebody donate a radio so we can broadcast the names as they announced, and you can listen to it on the radio as you were driving in. We had coaches at stations that were passing out Gatorade and water that was cold. We had maintenance and transportation with backup gas and tow trucks in case a car broke down in the line to, I mean, we had photographers that were set up. We even set the red carpet out, and the trustees were able to sit in a tent that was back there with an air cooler, even though it felt like 1,000,000 degrees. And we even put a portable AC unit on the actual stage because they were up there, you know, shaking hands and taking the pictures up on this. It was an incredible experience, and just to see the way the entire team came together across the district to make something happen for kids that, you know, initially was a really bad thing, and unfortunately, a lot of districts didn't get a chance to celebrate that, and parents got a very unique way to do it because they literally could walk right up to the stage, get out of their vehicle and take a picture of their kid with the superintendent and one of the trustees. So that was probably one of my proudest moments, just to see the way the entire district came together to make that vision a reality for over 800 kids. Got a chance to cross the stage.
Yeah.
My son was in that, and it was a bang-up job. I still got the picture with you and Matthew on the stage. It was hot as heck, but everything was in order. It was like a little carnival.
Yeah.
It was like you're just driving through, waiting to do your thing. Everything was set up in the stations. It was a bang-up job. I gotta say, it was very organized. It was good.
It was a really good
I
job.
kept thinking where there's a will, there's a way.
That's right.
So, the other thing that came to mind too was thinking about you guys call me admin council, right? The group that was doing the performance management.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if you said it or someone else on that team, but the idea of, you know, getting your toes out of the way or whatever, nobody's gonna step on anybody's toes. You know, being able to set aside your personal agenda or, you know, any other kind of, you know, personal feelings that you might have for the benefit of the greater good and the work itself. I think that's huge. But then to be able to do that, you have to have trust in one another, in the team itself, in the leader, things like that. So awesome.
Yeah. And I was just going to add one comment because I'm thinking when I'm remembering back in 2020 when, you know, we were in COVID and people were dying and things were looking impossible and you couldn't, and all of those things. Can you imagine what I was doing in the health commission with all of that and so, but I just remember all of the things that were going on, and yet at the same time, the challenge of even saying, no, our kids are going to graduate, we're going to have something, you know, and it's the first part of you will think, this is almost impossible. But I also share with a lot of people, I totally understand that people died. I cried every time I looked at the numbers and knew that I just could not go back in the hospital, but I wanted to do what I could do to help people, and a lot of my friends and colleagues died. But at the same time, the challenge of learning new things, learning Zoom and learning all of the other things that we would not have been challenged to do, that kind of pressure, and that if you got a group of people or board or whatever, you come together for the, as Roland has said, you know, for the good of the whole. And it is amazing what you can accomplish in the face of those kinds of challenges. And so, that was, like,
I mean, that makes sense though. Like,
bring it on, you know?
Yeah.
I was doing Camp Gladiator on Zoom,
Yeah.
but we made it work.
Ways to cross.
You guys have certainly evidenced over the last couple workshops that y'all are a high functioning team. But it's still good to think about what makes you work that way and work so well together. And so tonight we'll have an opportunity. One of the things on the agenda is board operating procedures. And so thank you for those of you who did your homework. And if you didn't, you can contribute real time so that we can kind of figure out how to prioritize our conversation around that. But that's to help you as a team in how you work together and govern together. So that'll be one of the things that we talk about. And then like we've been doing throughout this process is the board self-assessment. So again, thank you for completing that in advance. We'll share the results tonight. But as we've seen over the last couple workshops, there's more green there than there is red in terms of the different characteristics of a high-functioning team. And so again, kudos to you, but there's still, I think, an opportunity. It's not all green, but there's still an opportunity for us to revisit. And we expect that it's going to change from one quarter to the next. only because you're wrestling with different issues, you're dealing with different things as a team, and so that's what we attribute that to also. So it can't be green all the time, because we would like it to be. So the other things that we're gonna do related to SGS are, we have an activity related to student access and enrollment, and I'll explain what that is. And then something that we've talked a lot about is how do you make this sustainable beyond the people in this room? And one of the primary functions of the board is policy. And so how do we start to take the things that are essential to SGS and the things that you think are the most impactful to the district and start to enshrine those in policy so they can live beyond, like I said, the individuals within the room. So we'll start that work tonight. We're not gonna write policy tonight. But we have a plan for how to do that by the end of the year, and we'll talk about what that work's gonna look like outside of the workshops too. So, any questions before we really get in? Okay. Just to make sure we're all kind of in the right space, whatever's been going on today, this week, this month. I know all these norms are important, but are there any of these that you want to lift up or emphasize in terms of our conversations tonight?
Just shout out one that we want to highlight, or really, I love celebrating successes. That to me is important for us because we do get asked from the public about good and bad, and I always like to celebrate success.
That's important.
For me, follow through, number 6, start something, finish it, timely manner, put it on the clock, and get it done.
Awesome. Like I said, I know they're all important. So just to reorient, because there's a lot of time that is occurring between each of these workshops, we started the year back in August with an overview of what is SGS. We did some work related to the roles and responsibilities, thinking about the board versus the superintendent. We had some conversation around board engagement with stakeholders, and that was the first time that we took the board self-assessment. We came back together again in December, so a long period of time. And through required board training, evaluating improving student outcomes, we talked about everything that you see there under annual school planning in the context of that training so that you could meet some of the training requirements that you guys have. Part of that, and we'll reorient everybody more specifically, but some of the big ideas there were goal setting, the idea of a quality seats analysis where you look at all the data across the district every fall to then inform your decisions. We talked about this idea of school actions, how you progress monitor as well as performance manage, and we'll talk more about those terms tonight too. And then we took the board self-assessment again. Tonight I've already kind of shared what we're going to do, and then just so you can kind of see what's going to come back, I think we're meeting April 30th is the next workshop.
Correct.
And that'll be our last workshop. A huge portion of that will be around charter authorizing, because you are the authorizer of at least one charter right now. And so we want to make sure that you're grounded in best practices as authorizers. And then kind of like tonight with the board operating procedures, as we plan for that last one, if there's anything that you want to add or circle back to, we can do that as optional content. In terms of evidence of success, something that we agreed back in Q1 that we kind of put on the back burner and think about throughout the year is this idea of stakeholder engagement from the board seat, and what that looks like for you as trustees. So we've had a little bit of conversation each time. We'll continue to do that, and then in the last session, really decide whether or not there are any pieces there that you want to commit to or emphasize. Everything else that you see there in Q2, the North Star goal and the student outcome goals, we talked about in December. You've adopted those. Those are part of your existing portfolio of work. You've received the presentation of the quality seats analysis in the fall. You also received a presentation of the annual school plan. You do have a plan for how you're going to monitor all of your goals and progress towards those goals. So, yay, that's check, 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 check. We're doing this, so I want to make sure you guys know, like, the things that we set out to at the start of the year, you're making great progress and you're on track. The bottom, you see the fidelity of implementation, looking at how the district's doing in its application of SGS. We'll talk about that again tonight. We've talked about that in each of the workshops. Same with the board self-assessment. And then as you can see for quarters 3 and 4, now we start to look at, do our policies match what we say is important, both in terms of what we believe, what our values are, as well as what we think those practices are that need to be sustained. So most of the policies that are referenced for quarter 3 are related to educational philosophy and enrollment. So, do you feel accomplished? I hope you feel accomplished.
I do.
Okay. All right, so student access and enrollment. So let me say this. This is your second year in SGS. This is when your executive advisor in Duncan Klusman and Matthew Frank help the admin team look at your access and enrollment practices. They haven't really started that work yet. That work is to come later in the year. And so our hope tonight is to be able to get what's most important, the big ideas into policy. We just want to talk about this for a little bit from your perspective so that we can share with them what the most important ideas are to you so that they can address that as they're putting practices into place. Does that make sense? Okay, that's important context given where you are in your SGS journey. So the way that we're going to do that, and we'll talk more about the 4 actions, but just to reorient, SGS 4 big ideas or essential actions. Empowering families through school choice and access supports is the 3rd one. In our first 2 workshops, in the first workshop we previewed all of them. In the second workshop we spent most of our time on the first 2 that you see there. Now we're shifting to the 3rd so that you have a broader idea of what are the essential practices for that policy review later. Okay. So when we talk about student access and enrollment, we talk about the whole journey from left to right that you see on the slide. So if you think about, someone at home, maybe they don't even have children in school yet, do they understand that there is this idea of choice? What do they know and understand about the system in terms of, do they think they have to go to their neighborhood school? Do they know they have options? A lot of times what I've heard over my career is, we tend to, if we don't have kids in school, then we tend to assume it's like it was when we were in school. But as you all know, it is hugely different now. So when I was in school, I went to the school down the street because that was my neighborhood school and that was the only option I had. But today there's this idea of choice. That is one choice, the neighborhood school down the street, but then there are probably other choices that might be available to children also. So kind of following along the journey, then there's just this idea of, okay, so I get a choice, now I have options, and then continuing on, well, so what are those options and how do they meet my needs or my child's needs? That's another part of the process. And then once I kind of have an idea of what are my choices, what's the best fit for me, well, now how do I access that? And so that's where this idea of applying comes into play. And that can look a variety of ways. So I apply. It's kind of like, I always thought about it kind of like college because I didn't have this opportunity when I was in K-12. But now there's an option where I could get in or I could not get in. And so now how do I, or maybe I get into all the choices that I made. Now how do I make the best choice for me, given that information? All the way to, okay, so I went through this process and now, oh shoot, that school is maybe on the other side of the district. How do I get there? Is it really an option for me then? Do I have access to that? And then finally attending school. So there's a lot that happens, just so many different steps before you actually have students showing up on the first day. And so the work that the admin team will be doing later on, like I said, in the year, is kind of looking at what all of this looks like right now across the district and identifying strengths and opportunities. And then based on some of what we talk about tonight, figure out how to respond to what we say is most important. Okay? Any questions about sort of what this whole journey looks like? And does that, all those different steps make sense? Okay.
And just for the board to know, next Thursday at the work session, one of the agenda items is the team is going to be presenting a little bit about all of the choice schools that we have in the district, as well as the innovative school models that we either have in place or are going to be opening. Victory and Valor, for example, are innovative school models. We're going to talk specifically about what makes them innovative. And so the attempt there is just for us to start to really assemble and codify clearly what is our choice suite of options and our innovative school models that we have within our own system, and make sure the board feels really good about them and sees that there is alignment to what our preferences are and our expectations and community demand. So as Dana mentioned at the beginning, you know, we're just starting this work, but the work of really responding to parent choice in this space of public education is not new anymore. It's the new normal. So in recent years, this board, we have been thinking about that, and so we want to just kind of, here's the state of where we are as we start this more formalized journey.
And I don't want to assume, so there's a couple questions here. So the first question is, you know, how might we use our enrollment systems to support our North Star goal? Happy to share what the response is, but if you have any ideas about that, knowing what you already know, you go first.
What was your question again? May you rephrase that?
How might we use our enrollment systems to support our North Star goal? So being able to get more students into A and B seats or high quality seats. And it's okay if you don't know, because like I said, y'all are just starting this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have ideas, throw them out there.
I think one big one is educating the community on availability, I think is one. Just kind of top of my head.
Is that also so they can consider the quote unquote quality of different schools?
Sure, yeah, that's
Okay.
good, yeah, for sure.
That's a good one. Some other ways that you might do it would be things like, and I'll just throw some ideas out there. If you have students in a lower performing school, potentially giving them priority access to a higher performing school. Or when you look at, when you do your QSA every fall, some things that you might think about for enrollment purposes might be increasing the number of seats at a school, at a high quality school, to be able to get more students into that school so that they have that access. Those just might be some of the ideas. It could also be in helping you plan, thinking about, you know, what are the models that seem to have the most demand, or the bigger waiting lists, or, you know, and then how do you create more opportunities for students to access those models. But there are lots of different ways that you can leverage your just enrollment, I'm gonna say policies and practices, to help you match students with higher quality seats or increase the number of students in those high quality seats. Now, thinking about this whole journey, could be your experience when you were a student, could be with your children or grandchildren or students that you know that have been in the system, maybe things that you've heard from constituents. Are there any barriers right now to how students currently access schools, or different models or things like that across the district?
I would say because we're growing so fast, availability of vacant seats can become a challenge for us. So just from a visioning standpoint, like creating the ideal future reality, we would want every neighborhood school to be an A or B school. So quality is already established by where you live.
Right.
Now what you and your family need to explore is what's a best fit in a school model within all the options of school models in the district that I live within, right? So that's why the North Star goal is so critical for us, because we want quality to be the default. Now just find the best fit. If you're a STEM kid, if you like want a dual language experience, so now you can determine the specificity of the experience among all the quality options. Right now, obviously, every school's not an AD school yet. So this becomes really important as some potential strategies to make sure that kids do have access to a AD school, regardless of where they live. But it's not sustainable. Sustainability in a fast-growing community is every school is an AD school. Quality is the default. So your neighborhood school is quality. That's what we're going to create. And then, with a suite of innovative school models that are responsive to what the community has said they want, in alignment with high demand sectors of the economy, right? Now I can choose my very specialized experience among the quality options. Like that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So that's my brain goes to, if we don't have that model, how do you facilitate and how do you keep from overcrowding the?
That's why it's not sustainable. If you don't have every school as a quality school, this is a strategy to kind of move seats on the bus to move towards that percentage of AV schools. But the real magic is to calibrate the quality of the things that we're doing, standardize excellence, and manage performance such that excellence is the default outcome for every school in every community, no matter the challenges that every aspect of the community, area of the community might need to overcome. So poverty, mobility, whatever, it doesn't matter, high quality school. Wealth, doesn't matter, high quality school. Now, we just have to figure out in the future, once this is true, how do we make sure that no matter where a kid lives, they can get dual language if they want. They can get to it. They can get to that STEM school if that's what they want. That they can get to that college and career pathway, high school, P-Tech, or CAST, that it don't matter where they live in the 300 square miles, basically. So those are the challenges we want to be trying to solve in the future. Not just how do we get 100% of our schools to AB. That's coming. That's the long-range solution to this challenge, this dilemma. Because we're fast growing. Like we don't have the problem of right sizing because we have too many seats and buildings for the enrollment. Like we're growing so fast, like we need to make sure everything's quality and then have a suite of options on the menu. And then let's make sure everybody has access to it. Like we can provide door-to-door transportation through a hub and spoke model, which we're already doing some of. Like we're playing with that now so we can figure it out. Every kid can go to a dual language campus right now, east or west, Salado or Oak Crest, no matter where you live, because we have transportation figuring that out. But in the future, we want to be able to replicate and scale that so that all the options are available to all the kids. That's the desired future state, not the current reality. This is the way, what we're doing to make that true.
Yeah, because you take the second portion out of it, not necessarily out of it, but yes, I have the concept of choice, but East Central has a default that it's all A and B campuses, so no matter if it's a neighborhood school or not, or if it's the campus that just provides dual language, it doesn't matter because my neighborhood school is an A and B campus. So awareness of school options, yes, but they're all, I like that default thing, because I always say like an East Central umbrella. Our dress code needs to be all ECISD. So our pathway is A and B campuses, no matter where you live, no
That's
matter
right.
what's your age.
That's right.
So I like that.
And on top of that, you have options.
You do have options.
Because neighborhood school might be a great option.
What's that?
The neighborhood school may be a great option because it's just high quality instruction.
Yeah,
But
if
maybe
you
you
don't
want-
get into one of your choices.
But maybe you want something a little bit different.
Yeah.
Right.
So it could be the model, could be a focus on STEM, it could be knowing that you might be part of a smaller learning community. Lots of different. Maybe you want more virtual learning in your school setting than you might otherwise. If anything, we know that kids want choices today. Kids have all the choices, but they still want choices and they want to do what feels good for them and where they're most successful. And that doesn't look the same for every single student. But then when you think about conversations y'all probably already had about how do we get all the schools to be high-quality schools, just in terms of effective teaching? Challenge number one.
That's right.
Then, how do I continue to teach effectively with additional frameworks or content? What does that look like in a STEM school? Things like that.
But that goes back to that default. If we're all ECISD and we want our students to have the same opportunities and it's effective over here, let's mirror that a little bit so it can be effective over here with some tweaks because it's a different environment, that's fine. But if it's working, let's do it everywhere. Because then they do have access, the neighborhood school has access to the same campus that's way over here on the other side of the district. It's working, so let's make it work.
Yeah, it's kind of like the analogy that McDonald's used. You go to any McDonald's and get, the same nuggets. You don't have to drive all the way across town
Yeah.
to get the same nugget.
Now, what happens under the hood, in the backdrop for all the McDonald's is some McDonald's get every McDonald's has a different, there's a standardized plan, but then there's a customized, unique annual plan, right? Like our annual school plan, every school in our system has a default baseline of excellence, right? We all use high quality instruction materials. We support, the quality of teaching through professional learning. They plan through professional learning community structures, like it's default. But then based on where they're currently performing, there's a very specific game plan that is different for each school. And then based on that quality seats analysis and based on what informed that plan, there's tiered supports. So the system responds differently to the needs of every campus. All of those things are strategies for making sure that every McDonald's delivers great nuggets, every school delivers high quality no matter what, right? So it's one thing to say it,
Right.
but behind the scene, this is how you execute it. So the things that you've been hearing about, that we've been working on, that quality seats analysis, that annual school plan, that tiered system of support, like all of these things are now the nuts and bolts, the getting your hands dirty, right, aspects of how you really execute the vision and make it real. And that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Well said. Okay, so just to give you some ideas, some of the best practices across the SGS network you see on the right-hand side there. There are things like creating, and you might have these things, but creating an enrollment mechanism that will support choice for parents and students. Streamlining the process for families so that they can choose, enroll, and access a best fit school. But we just talked about what that whole journey looks like. So that can be a lot of different types of work just to be able to do that. And the other thing I like to think about on that bullet too is, what does it feel like from the perspective of a parent trying to navigate this whole process? If I don't work in schools, if I don't work in a district, I just want to get my child in a school, how easy is it to understand and to make it through? We just talked about this, but looking for opportunities to increase seats in high-performing schools. How do you, when you think about all the demands of parents, work demands, extracurricular demands, family, just all the demands, how can we help show them what the options are so that they can learn, what's available to their children? And I say that because it's great to see things in person and hosting things, but that's not always the best option for families depending on schedules. And so how do you make sure you sort of have a variety of ways, both in print, on the website? Can I see a video? Is there like a virtual tour? Can I send my child during the day, like as a way to kind of like we go visit colleges? Can they go visit middle school before they get to middle school? Things like that. So there's lots of different opportunities there. And then we've already talked a little bit about it, but what does transportation look like? Because if I can't get there, then is it really accessible to me? No. So those are just some things to think about as we start this conversation. Now, I'm going to ask you guys to do, this is in your own time, but it would definitely help the team as they start this work. I put the link here, it's just your ECISD registration page, but kind of knowing where we're going, I invite you to go to that page and just kind of see how easy is it to understand what's available to me And then once I do, how easy is it to understand what my steps are or what I need to be able to do to access that? And it is what it is.
That's right.
And it looks a variety of ways in different districts. And like I said, your year two, you haven't really undertaken this work with the SGS support,
That's right.
I guess.
That's right.
You may have done work previously to get here,
That's right.
but you'll look at it in a different way
I
as
was
you.
gonna say, I think I asked this of you guys before, a couple years ago probably. What does the option look like on the website? And it was like a drop down. It seemed like it was pretty straightforward to me, but I guess doing the work with them would send me some more details.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dana said it best. I mean, we tried to figure it out and improve our position, but we don't, also have learned through the SGS work that we did. The mental models we were operating from limited us from knowing what we could know.
Right.
So we just didn't know what we didn't know, right? So then we overlay what we're learning over what we've been doing and go, oh,
Yeah.
we can refine this, we can add that, we can clean this up. Oh my God, our intention for the user experience was so, we thought it was so streamlined and seamless, but oh man, did we miss there? And so we're gonna start seeing all these things that we can't unsee now.
Right, but I mean,
That's
even
what's
this
gonna
is
happen.
not much because.
So I'm
it's
laughing
not-
because
it's
I'm
not
looking at that
Facebook
now
as a
going,
complaint.
Yeah.
I haven't heard it on Facebook as a complaint.
No, it's gotten better. No, we
No,
have,
that's where it's at.
that's where it's at.
That's it.
No, we have made progress, but I'm already, if she put that up there, I'm just giggling. I know you are too.
Let me get my
I'm
Mac
already
out and do
seeing.
it now.
I'm
Get
gonna
it
put
down.
notes in.
I know.
Well, but that's what I'm saying, in your spare time.
Yeah.
So that you can send some feedback this way. And when the team really gets into the work, they have that.
Well, we've just like launched inter-district transfer forms, right, and put that out. And we still haven't codified like the choice process and timeline where the community knows, oh, this is the time, this is the window for applications or whatever. It's still not built out, so it's like a really budding effort to kind of start that, flexing that muscle.
Yeah.
And so, and what did it stir up? Oh, that's because Lazy's closing. That's
Yeah.
because, just a bunch of assumptions, right? Because we just haven't communicated really well because it's we're embarking on a new horizon. And so we look forward to continuing the work and maturing it.
I didn't catch the number, I'm gonna make this connection real quick. Early SGS, you had an entry point where it made sense for you. So like I talked about all those different essential actions. If you want to start with enrollment, you can start with enrollment. Part of the reason you haven't looked at enrollment yet is your version of SGS has a structure to it, a sequence to it now. Where it's, no, do these other things that are more important first, and then work on enrollment. In San Antonio ISD, 2017, we started with enrollment because a board priority was look at our declining enrollment, how can we leverage the choices we have to be able to bring students to the district, either back to the district or just to the district. And so our early efforts, that's where we spent the whole first year just on this.
That's what I love about this, the SGS, is because it's for each district.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like it's tailored for each district. So that's important because why would you want to jump in on something that's already working and that we're doing great already on? Not great, but versus something that we need to hurry up and we need help with kind of thing. So that's what I like about it.
Well, the other thing, and I think the team got this week too, we've probably gotten this every learning lab, but one of the things I appreciate having been part of this for as long as I have is, one, we get better and better, and then two, because the network, the districts continue, wherever they are in the process, continue to participate in things like learning labs, we continue to learn from one another, and we're at a point now where people will say, hey, remember that one framework that so-and-so shared with us whenever. And so there's this continuous interest in, you don't have to create this yourself here. Now just make it the East Central way, or you know what I mean? There's been so much learning to date that now people don't have to start really at scratch, but you can build off of what others have already done and just make it better, make it fit your needs. So.
And that's the best way I learn, to be honest. Yes, we do great here and I can take a course on my own, but when you go to other districts and you see what's happening, and you share that information with them, you learn better that way. Sometimes, and they're learning from us, so it makes me feel good that we share those things, because what better place to learn
Yes.
than in the district, especially if things are working. So my first summit, I was blown away by all the great things that the other districts had to say. So I was already excited to be the first summit.
A lot of failing forward in that process.
That's right.
Okay, so this is not a test. I promise, not a test.
Oh.
We've talked about the SGS rubric, for how you assess yourself as a district. The admin team usually fills it out. What we've done is we lifted out the parts related to student access and enrollment. There are 10 total kind of practices. We would like you to complete this survey, and then we'll go through it together so we can see what your perceptions are of current practices. And then that will also help inform the team of, really like what's working, what's not, or where to start that. So let me know if you have any trouble accessing the QR code there. But it's 10, and it's just asking you to kind of rate whether or not you think the district's killing it, or if there's a lot of work still to be done.
We all take it?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
It's not working here.
It's not working?
Oh.
Aha.
It is in your packet in case that's easier.
I'll turn it on, because I think it's upside down. Better.
Well, that shouldn't make any difference.
It's an old phone, like the old.
There's been a lot of work.
Dan, I'm not understanding one here about, does not limit students' options based on entrance criteria.
Some schools, it's accessible if you make a certain grade, score a certain star score, have good
Oh.
attendance, things like that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Or an interview, or you take a
Okay.
test.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, what if we believe that we don't do that? That's when you score lower, like on.
Like if you think work needs to be done there.
But with my perceptions, I don't think we like the lottery.
Right.
How would we create that? Correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't have a lottery.
If
So
the
we
vision,
do, but we haven't done it because our two choice enrolled schools haven't exceeded capacity in their applications.
So how-
if you think about the vision that you kind of described, where they're all high quality schools and you have different models, then you're gonna have a situation where demand will exceed supply.
Yeah.
And
So right now, we haven't had demand exceed supply, so we have a method for lottery, but we've never done it. So to your
I'm
point,
tracking, but I still don't know how to score it.
so score it, I would score it low because we don't.
But
But
we don't
to
do
me,
it.
that's a
But
negative.
we have it though.
But we have it, we just don't need it. See what I'm saying? So, okay.
Maybe a three, two or three.
I'll give it.
Well, maybe in the-
Give it one.
And I did the opposite.
Again, this is not a test.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not a test.
It's not a test.
Conversation.
Yeah.
You're gonna look great.
No superintendent will be harmed in that.
I'm gonna pick my phone up. Somebody's in an online student.
You don't have to hide the fact that you finished.
I must have studied.
Yep.
Oh, there you are. I heard you already. I heard you out there.
Hey, Coach. What's going on? Yeah.
Hi, Coach.
How are you?
Good, how you doing?
good.
Okay, so it looks like everybody submitted their survey. So let's just look at the results to generate some conversation and wrestle with some big ideas. So the first of these is policy and practice consolidates enrollment processes into one application and one enrollment deadline for families. And the survey results are very mixed. Why did you guys feel the way that you felt? Why do you think there needs to be more work here?
Well, me, I have a little more insight, I will say, only because the process that's currently in place wasn't working, from what I understand, and it needed to be consolidated. So that question hit home for me, and I gave it a 2.
Okay. So there has been some work there.
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else want to add to
Since we're
that?
working on this, if you want to find it. This one.
I would say my assessment, I gave it a 3. There's an enrollment process that is the same for everybody. But in the spirit of this, it doesn't give a parent a chance to fill out the enrollment, complete the enrollment process, and as well include my selections for options that I would like to be considered for
Okay.
in terms of school options. It pretty much takes me to my zone school and submits the application there,
Okay.
or the enrollment.
So there are really two processes.
So for the, so there's an intra-district transfer process for, if you want to go to a school that's, you're not zone 2, that's going on right now. It's really, you're already enrolled, it's not the enrollment process. And then there's CAST and Leadership Academy and the Pecan Valley STEM Academy. There is open enrollment for that, it's separate. If they want to choose to apply for one of those 3, they do that separately.
Okay.
So, yeah, lots of opportunity here as,
Do you believe there should be one process and one timeline?
I think there's some opportunity to further align
Okay.
and streamline.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. If it was streamlined, yes, my opinion, yes, one process, streamlined with everything in one, not multiple processes.
Yeah.
Well, as soon as I said timeline, I thought about pre-K, because sometimes that comes. But ideally, if I have kids in schools of any age, I should know exactly what to do.
Yep.
Okay.
And if I have multiple kids at multiple ages, it's the same process.
Yes,
At the same time.
yes, yes. And I would say I should have to put my information in 10,000 times.
The same thing over and over for every one of your kids? Huh.
A world where, whew,
Not so long ago, we used to do that all paper pencil.
Yes. Now it's
As we all know.
fun.
yes. Okay, the second one, the enrollment process is family friendly and includes multiple modes for participation, meaning you could do it online, you could do it on your phone, you could do it on paper.
It's not violent
fresh,
Yeah.
accurate? Okay.
I can't remember if it was, what year it was, and this is embarrassing, or if it was even registration, but I know that mobile sometimes you turn it sideways to get to a certain point, so I know that there was a lot of issues with that at one point, but other than that, there were multiple ways, so I.
The other thing that we thought about when, just on this particular indicator was, there was a time where you could fill it out online, and then there were still some things you had to bring to the office, or things you had to submit for copying, or.
Still a little bit of that.
Okay. And so we did get to a point where you could just take a picture with your phone and submit it as
Yeah.
part of the
So ours
process.
does allow that. What
Okay.
we find is that the user interface, they may not understand how to do that. So then we tell them as a part of it, bring that with you when you come and meet at the campus to finalize your schedule and all that kind of stuff. So here's an opportunity to make that better, right?
The other thing I would say we did that was new for us was, and if you couldn't do those, you could call,
Mm-hmm.
and we would just
Transcribe.
do it right over the phone for you. Yeah.
No
Just
barrier to
meeting
entry.
meeting people where they are, because at the end of the day, kids need to be in school.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Allows families the ability to choose any public school in the district, including their neighborhood school or another school that better fits a student's academic and social needs. What's
I know that's a big.
going on there?
Well, I would have probably, that's just one, that would have been me, because I was not aware you had to go to school that was in your district, you didn't get to choose.
Right.
You didn't get to choose, I live in Greenway, but I don't want to go to Harmony, I want to go to Highland Forest. They're an A-rated school, but you can't do that, because that's not in your district, your area. I mean, did I misunderstand the question?
So we have not communicated that, well, yeah. They can do the intra-district transfer application process. They could literally do that right now, make the request. Now, whether it's granted depends on space.
Attendance.
And then, once they're enrolled, it depends on, there could be challenges if their attendance, behavior, and grades aren't tracked. But it's not widely known. And our challenge, why we've not quite fully deployed that, is because our schools are so full that if we overpromised and underdelivered, right? Like if we had a bunch of people fill those out and we denied most because there wasn't room, so we haven't quite solved for that yet.
Okay, well, I might
But
have just been me.
it's possible.
I don't even want to go, Chris, okay, that's where you're going.
So, not so long ago, we actually had it in policy that if somebody wanted to go to a school that they weren't zoned to, they might even have to pay tuition. So
It's a change.
So it was a hard no, and we don't do that. There's none of that anymore. The barrier really is room, but they can choose another school.
Yeah, they have to provide their own.
But transportation may not be provided.
Because, I mean, how big our footprint is for one individual is.
Yeah, we don't guarantee it yet, we're not that baked out. So like the choice schools I mentioned earlier, dual language was the example I used. Any kid in the system that chooses to go to one of those two campuses, we do have a shuttle system. But we can't always necessarily guarantee that depending on what school they're at, we could get them to a different school other than those two. So we always say may.
Yeah, we have a kid at Tradition, his home address is Tradition, but he goes to our family's daycare, and he brings him in the morning, and he picks him up in the afternoon. We don't provide transportation for him to go.
Right.
To get dropped off or picked up at Tradition, because it's at the daycare.
Yeah. Now, if he attended, say, Salado, we would pick him up at Tradition and take him to Salado.
Right.
Right, because we do have that system in place. But if he chose, say, Harmony, instead of Tradition, we don't have a bus that goes from there to Harmony yet.
Right.
So there is an option, but it is far from what it could and will be.
I was gonna say, I would, as y'all get into this work, something to think about is what is the long-term vision? And if at some point, it is the vision that every child can choose whatever the best fit school is for them, then is there should there be a separate process for choice versus transfers? A lot of districts differentiate between the two. But a big discussion is, well, if I can do it
That's
for choice, why should I have to have a different process for transfers? And then in some places, I'm not saying it's the case here, the transfer process can be reliant upon principals who might be required to accept or deny transfers or have the power to revoke a transfer. Or I heard y'all talk about it, or do I have to have certain attendance, grades, or behavior? And so that then introduces this idea of, are certain schools only for those kids who can do those things? Is it selective now? Like, anyway, these are things you'll have to wrestle with as you,
Well, we'll
as
have
this
the
plays out.
ability, not the ability, but we'll be able to comfortably, is it the word I'm supposed to use in that moment, because of our campuses opening.
Right.
We can't push it.
Overcrowded.
Right.
Like, if there's a point in time where all schools are high-quality schools and they have different options, then could you, do I have to
I think
behave to go?
No,
You know what I
like,
mean? You'll have to
and that's it.
behave.
So like right now, if you get accepted into a choice school, attendance, behavior, and grades aren't an issue.
Right,
When you get accepted to choice school, that's your school,
Right.
okay.
unless you choose something else. But if you choose to transfer from one school to another,
Right.
now attendance, behavior, and grades are in play.
Yeah,
right.
Now, that's just what's currently in place.
Right, but,
In the future,
yeah.
all schools are AV schools, we have a suite of options, maybe it's just one process, and maybe our strategy is to carve out a number of seats that are for choice,
Yeah.
right, in every school, and there's a timeline and an application window, and then a lottery process to fill those seats, because the demand's gonna exceed the supply, and then we go through the process, and then all selections are made, everybody knows their assignment, you didn't get your school, but guess what? Your default school's an A.
Yeah.
And it goes back to this too, just funding, right? I mean, the importance of us advocating, funding, just transportation pops up in my head.
Oh, yeah.
And we're so underfunded.
For that.
How do you do that? You know what I'm saying? So then now we gotta take away from this, and so we have this great dream, but we've gotta have the funding, and so we need that to get back to our legislature. And they have to understand that part, and, you know, I mean, I love that, I think it's amazing, our kids deserve that, but that's a big part of it, and, well, I'm, get off my
It's-
soapbox, but
it's
that's where I'm
definitely a
at.
problem we have to
Yeah,
solve.
Big time.
When we get there, for sure.
But, you know, districts that have multiple high schools, I think they use, if it's high school is offering a different multilingual program or whatever, I think they have a choice to go to those different schools. We don't have one high school,
Right.
so I don't think we would experience that, am I right? Because whatever's offered at the one high, and then we get two high schools.
I was gonna say, eventually you're
And
gonna
then
have
when they
that.
start offering something at the other high school,
That's right.
then I think you would kind of, you would have to take that into consideration
Yeah.
and allow that student to go over there if they're offering this
That's right.
course and that course.
That's right.
I know SISD, I worked in SISD and they had different programs in each school, and some students would take advantage of it for athletic purposes. And they said they're going to this school for that particular thing, and then, you know, and it turned out not to be really good, a good fit for how you could take advantage of having those choice schools to go wherever you want to go. But you're not going for academics, you're going for the athletic purposes. So that can play a part. Then we get two high schools, I don't know if we have that issue or not.
Well, and it's good you brought that up, because
Yeah.
we won't have the exact same career and technology programs at both campuses. Ag, for example, is gonna be at the main campus.
Okay.
The original East Central High School. The second high school is not gonna have ag. So if a child wants to be in the ag program, then, and they're zoned for,
Right.
But they'll be able to.
they'll need to be able,
So
see what I'm saying?
we run into that
So
problem.
this whole idea of choice and best fit is gonna have to be baked into just the way we do business.
Well, how
Yes,
much-
sir.
with the losing of instructional minutes, that's why we put all the pre-Ks from ECDC at all on home campuses.
Mhm.
Will there be instructional minutes lost because we're busing from one campus to the other? Meaning,
Yeah, that-
my kid that I'm talking about lives in Tradition, but they want to go to Harmony because of the daycare, say he chooses Salado, him being best for Tradition, or Tradition zones, right, to, am I making sense? Salado,
So
yeah.
right now with our current hub and spoke system, they don't lose any instructors.
Yeah, they get there
They're
on
there
time.
before school starts, because they can get
So
dropped
there
off
has
at
to be
their
an
home
earlier
campus.
start?
No, it's just they
Same
get
start.
dropped off and a bus picks them up there, and they still get there on time, and they get to Salado
Okay.
right now, yeah. it
Current.
works. Current.
There will be greater challenges as we're
Yeah.
But in the
we
future.
grow.
district-wide.
Yeah.
Yeah, once we're a district-wide system of choice,
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking
there are
So-
dilemmas that we'll definitely have to solve for that
Bus routes are gonna.
Well,
brings,
the
that
game
begs
hours
the
is
question.
gonna
Right,
stay.
in your QSA, you'll start to
That's
look
right.
more closely at data related to who's got a wait list, how many on the wait list, you know, gosh, what else? Not just supply and demand, but, I lost my train of
But
thought.
if we are default, like you said, and I'm going back to that word because I love it, if we're default amazing AAP campuses, their only choice should be a STEM or the college prep or, you know what I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
or the dual language.
I'm sorry, that's what I was trying to say.
Sorry.
You'll look at
I was
Maybe
maybe
it would
who's
be too
choosing
much.
to transfer,
That's
right.
who's choosing choice,
Yeah.
who's
And why.
choosing which models, who, you know what I mean?
Right.
You'll start to look at all those things. And then there's also, remember, you know, you are East Central, but then you have other districts around you, you have charter networks around you.
Yeah.
You'll have to think about what that map looks like within the district, but without, outside the district as well.
Yeah.
Like, this will all become part of your
Yeah.
QSA.
Yeah, like
That
other,
will help.
yeah, in the QSA, in this conversation, we'll be talking about the districts around us that are open enrollment. The number of students who live in our community that are already going to schools in one of the other traditional ISDs and/or various charters that are in our
And
community
you
or
guys have access
adjacent
to
to our
that
community.
data, not just like the demonstration when we present to us, you guys know that too, like who's pulling, what charters are pulling them
Yeah, we
on.
do. We have mechanisms for that. Yeah, one thing I'll
But you
say
know,
about our
when I
current,
look at this and I see the word allows families the ability to, because we're talking about choices.
Yeah.
And you, earlier, you know, you were saying, well, before it was like a hard no. Still may not be able to get where you need to go, but we allow families to have the ability. So once we have the default of what, again, you go back to allowing the family. So people have to feel like they have some choice, even though they will end up doing basically what, you know, what we want them to do, quote unquote, if we set things up the way that it's gonna be the best for the child. Anyway, they have to feel like they have a choice. And I think that's the way I would look at that. I mean, it's not every I think most people kind of know every situation is not gonna be, you know, you're not gonna be able to have everything you want in life. That's life. You can't have everything you want in life. But if you feel like you have, you heard, you have some choice, or you have an ability to look at, or someone will listen to you and be able to work something through, I think that kind of builds in a little bit of a collaboration or whatever. And I don't think we would have so many issues with that it would just destroy what we're trying to do, and that is to give them
Yeah, that
the
there
allowance.
is choice, there's a process for engaging in that pathway to potentially getting another choice, but that you actually get selected, that's where the lottery, it may not end up happening, but there is a pathway for it and an opportunity.
These are good conversations,
What are we gonna say?
but this is the first time we're talking about it.
Yeah, but you see how excited everybody is, it's good.
Yeah, no, it's really good.
so I was gonna say about our current transfer process, because we asked for a reason why for the transfer. 98% of those transfer requests, it's because of a proximity reason, so it's either childcare, on their way to work. It's not because they're unsatisfied with their current school that they're at. They're going because it's closer to work. I pass by that school and I'm not gonna be at home, so it's much easier for me to get my kid from there. And really a lot of them too are our staff, our employees, who bring their kids that live outside their district as well. And then they wanna place their child at maybe the neighboring campus right next door to them because they teach at the middle school and the elementary is right next door, so they want them there. So that's kind of our current inter-district transfer form. That's what we see predominantly. That's why it is. So
Not being unhappy, they just,
yeah, they're not.
Okay,
they're not
let's keep going.
dissatisfied.
yeah.
Dana's pushing us
Let's
along,
keep going.
because Ginger wanted 5 hours, Dana said no,
No,
it's
no.
not a 5-hour training.
5. I thought it was 8.
Okay.
All right, Dana,
Not limit student options based on entrance criteria except in select limited cases and as example, performing arts. What's going on with some folks that are in the 3 range? Does this go back to what you were thinking of in terms of transfers and the criteria? Or were you thinking strictly?
I put 3 ranges because I don't really understand the whole process.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
Yep.
And that's okay too.
Yep.
That's helpful in and of itself in that we have work to do in terms of making sure everybody understands what the process
I'm
is.
not any kids at school either, so that's why I don't understand.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go and check it out.
Please.
He will.
Okay, good. Okay. Conducts a lottery to assign open seats if more students apply than there are open seats at a given school. We had a lot of conversation about that, so let's keep going. Are you okay if we keep going?
Yeah.
Okay. Provides transportation to families that choose a school outside of their neighborhood. Was that just a lack of understanding around the current system, or, I don't want to put words in your mouth.
So we don't provide transportation outside of.
Like for every student in every
That's
situation?
what I took.
Okay.
I'm down. I
Nope,
guess
that's
I'm the
fair.
only one that put one, but.
Well, but there
y'all
was
kinda-
a
y'all kinda
two.
prodded me that way, so.
Yeah,
But.
We do
don't
for some,
do it.
but we don't for all. So.
right, nope, that's fair. Ensure all high-quality campuses are at full capacity through targeted enrollment and student recruitment strategies. Is there a strategy to that right now? Is that, okay. And is that largely through the choice schools? Okay. And back to, we talked about that a little while ago, but that's where you would leverage your quality seats analysis to then make decisions about schools and your enrollment practices to be able to increase the number of high-quality seats. Or, I'll give you an example. There was a district that I worked with where part of the reason more students couldn't get into an A school was nobody had a conversation about adding more teachers because they had more space in their building. And so it was as simple as, oh, well, let's add another teacher there. Now we have 22 more seats. And they were able to increase, student access. So some of it is that kind of stuff, but that goes back to where all the departments within the system have to be part of this process. Proactively recruit and support families to understand all educational options and the process for selecting a high-quality best fit school. A lot of folks are in the middle, and then there's one that there was a lot of work to be done there. What were your thoughts?
I think we give good information. Maybe we should have done the homework first.
No, this is, like I said, this is just to get a sense of where you're at.
Yeah.
And then this is work that's to come. Annually publish all school options in an accessible and family-friendly way, including online, mobile, and paper-based information. So this just goes back to now, how do I get information? What does that look like? Do I have to go seek it out myself?
I think we've offered plenty of opportunity, more than enough, all these plus meetings and, yeah. So it's just a big matter of whether, who comes out or who pays attention to their emails and their computers and whatnot, Some people just still stay uninformed, and that's on them, because I think the district does just about everything possible to get the word out.
Well, and been wondering and continue to wonder, and look forward to further studying. We're not an open enrollment district. Many of the districts around us are. SISD, as an example, does have 400, 500, 600 kids from East Central ISD that enroll there. My wondering would be if SISD was not an open enrollment school district, how much would the supply and demand be for a higher quality school? How much of that quality school is being filled by a combination of students in the district and students from outside? Like, one of the Young Women's Leadership Academy, for example. What's the percentage of enrollment of SAISD students versus, and I know that they now have a percentage that are guaranteed for each, but like Shane said, most of our, like if I just use Leadership Academy and STEM Academy and dual language for example, there's a lot of students that are not zoned to those schools that attend those schools, but there's still space. So in other words, it's like the palette for choice is satisfied, but if we were to open up our boundaries,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right, like with now we have a supply and demand circumstance that is what we're looking for. The challenge for this board is we're growing really fast. We have a long-range facility plan that includes bonds in the future. Now you go ask your community to support building new buildings and you're opening your
Yeah.
your
How does
boundaries.
that fit together?
It's the only reason why we haven't opened our boundaries,
Yeah.
but all of our neighbors have.
Right.
So, you know, it's just something to reconcile. But then I think about Dell's point is we want to make sure that every family does have a suite of options that appeal to them in our school system. But will that result in, especially if they're all A and B schools, will it result in this wait list for every choice model? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know, because I know that's kind of the goal. Like you want to create this demand that
Context
exceeds
is so
supply.
uniquely different.
It's so uniquely different, I guess is what
Most
I'm
of the-
saying.
I mean-
Yeah.
Northeast is closing schools.
Yeah,
Judson's been talking a lot about closing. I mean, you know what I mean, districts that
north side.
people historically might not have
Flat.
thought would be in that position or
Yeah.
in that position, and your trajectory is totally different.
Yeah. So our strategy has to be different, right?
Yes.
Our approach has to be different.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, offer in-person or virtual opportunities for families to learn about all public school options. I mean, there's more on the, you know,
Yeah.
able to need to work here. Is that because of the virtual component?
Yeah, for me it was.
Okay,
For me, it was.
okay, yeah. I mean, something neat, back to the pandemic.
Yeah.
The pandemic challenged us, how do we help the people at that time understand what their options were when we weren't offering all the tours and open houses and things like that, and so we had to figure out how to do that virtually. But that's something the district has sustained, because for some families, it's too hard to get there by 6 o'clock at night, or,
Mhm.
you know, whenever those events are, or,
Yeah.
you know, stuff like that, so, yeah. Okay. Do we need a break? Like, do we need to take 5?
Sorry. And the house needs to shift again, so the door doesn't close on me, just like, these two, it's fine.
Are we good? Plow through or?
Let's go through.
Okay.
Plow through.
Okay. Go back to,
I don't even know.
so remember, well, I didn't say this tonight, but I've said this every other time. There are slides here that are just references. So these are the pieces that were in the survey, just for reference.
Cool.
That's what those two are. And then we're not looking at this tonight. But I did want to put it out there, because I went through the exercise of looking at your policies related to enrollment. And I linked them here for you. And I picked out some of the language so that you can kind of think about what you said tonight was important, and whether or not your policies reflect that, or if there's work to be done. So for example, if you look at FDA, so the first one, FDA admissions, that's very broad and really just related to the admissions process. Typically not a lot of work to be done there. FDA admissions, inter-district transfers, this was last revised in 2025, so I don't know what the revisions were, but it was interesting to me to read about, you know, where you do offer, or where you do make people pay tuition or don't, but then I kind of heard you say you don't do that anymore.
Good
Okay,
thing
so that's still in
the
policy?
committee now.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Good thing.
Good thing, policy committee's gonna get to work.
Right. You know, there, and you do have, at least right now, and we talked about this, factors in approving transfers, considering space, instructional staff, and then looking at the student's disciplinary history and attendance records. And then transfer agreements, I told Ron this was really interesting to me. I haven't seen this with a lot of district of innovation plans. Typically, when you get a transfer, it's good for a year. You use the district of innovation to add an exception so that they could be revoked mid-year. They don't have to stay somewhere for a year. That was interesting to me. I don't know if that was in response to a certain thing that was happening at the time or, anyway. And then this is related to your intra-district. So within the district, transfers and classroom assignments. And so right now it just says, you know, hey, everybody's supposed to go to the school that they're zoned to. The campus principal shall be authorized to investigate and approve the transfer. So kind of like what I mentioned earlier about our principals. Is that something the district does, or do they put that on the principals? And then you question, is it applied the same way by every principal? And are principals gatekeepers is kind of how that plays out. And then the superintendent shall be authorized to investigate and approve transfers between schools. I mentioned this because, and there's nothing here about your choice schools. And so another area of opportunity, as you are creating things that are different from what's currently in policy, and if you think they're important to continue, now how do you include that in your policies?
Yep.
Where it's relevant.
Yep.
So again, it was not our intent to try to do this work tonight, but we do want to share this with the team that's going to be working on this so that if there's an opportunity later down the road, it gets addressed at the time that they're doing this work. Okay?
Perfect.
We've had enough, I think we've had enough conversation, so for time purposes, I'm just gonna skip this one. So that we can get to A local. Any final thoughts on enrollment before we keep going? Okay.
Marco.
So, if I just say AE local, do you guys know what that is? It's okay if you don't. Because you could name almost any other policy and I probably wouldn't be able to tell you what it is.
But she does know.
But AE local has always been important to me because it should reflect the district's educational philosophy. And so we'll talk through, you know, what that looks like now. I'll share examples from other districts. And the reason this is important is your strategy on page should be reflected in AE local. We want to talk tonight about your theory of action. That should be part of AE local. And so what we do want to get done by the end of this year is a revision to AE local so that it reflects what you say are the most critical
This
pieces.
is ours and this is another district?
Yes,
Oh,
but we're not there yet.
okay.
Dana, what is that acronym, AE? What is it?
Oh,
Okay.
I don't know enough about how,
Okay, just the name. Okay.
yeah.
It's just a section.
Section.
Yeah, well, and that's why I pointed out too, and it falls into the overarching category of basic district foundations.
Okay.
And I point that out because it should be a foundational component of, or a foundational policy to the district's work. If you go to the next slide, AE legal, and this is, you know, it's legal, so it's the same pretty much for everybody, but just to give you a sense of what is in AE legal, this is where the state is just telling us the board has a responsibility for articulating vision and goals for the district, as well as individual objectives. And so, well, we'll talk about whether or not your local does that, but this is just kind of the overarching framework, and then in local, people get even more nuanced. So that's the next slide. Some of the things that you'll see in some of the examples that we're sharing tonight are vision, mission, values, goals, sometimes superintendent guardrails, sometimes board guardrails, and theory of action. There's no one way to structure AE local, which is why I'm going to show you 3 different examples. But at the end of the day, it's really what you think is most important about the district's educational philosophy as to what is going to help you achieve your vision, help you achieve your goals. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. So if you would, just take a few minutes. It sounds like you've already found them, right, in the packet? They're not super dense, even though Aldine's is quite a few pages. But if you could just kind of compare each of these and just kind of look at, you know, where do you see these key ideas, you know, if they have a theory of action, what does their theory of action say? And then after you've had a chance to look through all of them, we just want to go through a little exercise of, you know, what did you like, you know, what did you wonder about, things like that.
And all three of these are SGS.
So all three of them are SGS districts, and all three of them have revised their AE local within the last 2 years.
And Lone Star Governance is still a thing?
Aldine, it's good context, Aldine is a Lone Star Governance board and district. And so that's why you see a lot of the components that they have in theirs. But they're also SGS, and so you see where
And they
they,
have all 7 master trustees.
well, we just had a board election in the fall.
Rose retired.
Yes,
So,
yes. So,
okay.
but they are an SGS district and they do have a theory of action, so that's why I wanted to include them.
Perfect.
Yeah. So take a few minutes to look through those, please. Have y'all had a chance to look at most of it? Okay. What do you notice? What do you like? What do you wonder about just at first glance?
Well, I have to wonder, if you're sharing what everybody else's are, you've obviously shared ours, I'm thinking with everybody else.
Oh, I have not.
But you haven't, then that eliminates that question. I was gonna say, what do they think of ours? What I'm seeing here is quite expensive. How many different ways can you say
The same
something?
thing over
The
and
same
over.
thing over and over and over.
Yeah, that's a
again.
lot. It's too wordy, I think.
Agreed, and again, it's just, how many times can you say, I love you? Let me count the way. Let me count the way. Ours, I think, is concise. We could expand a couple,
We do want to add a theory of action, just to be fair.
without a
and
doubt.
transparent. We wanna add a
I
theory of
did
action.
like that. I did like
Okay.
that. That was included
Okay.
on here. I didn't like the guideline principles from Aldi. That's basically vision statement and A to Z. Mission statement.
And for context, San Antonio's declaration statement is essentially a vision and a mission
Same
together.
thing, absolutely, absolutely. That's what I was saying, how many ways can you
Okay.
say something? You know, I did like, if I may add, the board's role. Board's role, which includes superintendent's role.
Yeah, but that's all in other policies too, so we
Yeah.
just said concise and how many different ways to say
Yeah,
it.
exactly, it's all there, they put it all on this one, so.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is like add objectives, and I like how this one has the portrait of graduate, because a lot of people notice that our poster, I know that people have reached out to me like, the portrait of our graduate looks like this and that, whatever. That to me is a big statement for us in this district, but this is a lot. This is,
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't know policy, like us going through policy, and you look at this, go, oh my gosh, they did really good. But
If you've never been through Lone Star governance also,
Yeah.
you might wonder about some of those components.
yeah, because I mean, the superintendent's role, board's constraints for the superintendent, board's constraints for the board. We have our own constraints for ourselves, you know what I'm saying? Like superintendent evaluation, that's already in policy in a different category. So to me,
But a lot of times what you see is also reflective of what the board is focused on, what their priorities are, or sometimes what behaviors need to be managed.
right,
That's, I don't know how to say that a different way.
well,
One thing I think, we wanna make sure that whatever is here is being lived out,
Yes.
right? So when I look at the vision, mission, and vision, student experience, and North Star goal, that is what you're gonna hear, as you guys did at the work session the other day. We anchor back to this in every convening, in every discussion around progress. Like we anchor back to this. What I see as opportunities is to add student outcome goals, because we anchor back to those constantly as well. And then we would want, in the future, boards to continue to include student outcome goals that are up to date in this local policy.
yeah, and how do we do that? Besides visiting it all the time and then having to pay to have it redone.
The local.
Policy, sorry. I'm just saying.
Well, and if not that,
Well, 5-year
because it may change annually, but I do see, because it is real. It's actually
Yes.
what is driving the organization. I also see that the goal progress measures, the part I like about that for policy's sake is how are we gonna report that progress? I'd love to see in policy a requirement that those goal progress measures, for example, are presented to the board monthly,
Yeah,
or whatever cadence. Ours happens to be monthly.
right.
That we want that to live beyond ourselves, right? That the accountability for the progress is reported, right? And if that's in policy, whatever superintendent follows me, whatever trustees follow you guys, that's in policy.
Yeah.
That has to happen. And then the theory of action. I mean, I think there's some opportunity for us to just to address that. It would be a pretty quick exercise for
I was gonna
us.
say, you probably noticed the
Mhm.
differences in approach to theory of action also very much reflects where each of those districts is or was at the time.
Yeah, which, I mean, at the highest level of, we're just basically saying, if we do these things, we should expect this to happen.
Right.
And the things we're doing, from quality seats analysis to,
And I think what Ginger's saying, and I agree with it, said here where it says envision student experience, it talks about all these things, but when she mentions portrait of a graduate, all these things equal the portrait of a graduate.
That's where that came from.
And so you could probably split this, you know what I mean? And you want the experience to be something, but after they've experienced this, finally at the end, what do you want them to look like when they finally
Yeah.
walk out of here?
So,
You know,
so
I
from
think
a,
there's a little bit,
Yeah.
it's kind of a mixed bag right
yeah,
here.
so
that could
this language came from our technical support, SGS, and
Mhm.
when we said, well, what do you mean by vision student experience?
Mhm.
They said, well, what do you want to be the result
Sure.
of students who have matriculated through your system?
So can we
So,
keep our
so
language?
what we envision is our portrait of graduate.
Yeah.
That's where this came from. It said, oh, we know what that is. Our community told us what they
Yeah,
expect.
the words are good, but I like
But-
the statement.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so the language envision student experience is in SGS, but if our envision student experience is profile of a graduate, can they take envision student experience out and call it profile?
Some people have both. Some people have what Monique referred to as, what do we want students to experience every day? That then leads to what we want the portrait of a graduate to be. But it can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah,
But some do differentiate, and they do, I mean, they complement each other also.
yeah.
Yeah, so there can be some
I just,
opportunity.
going from legal to local, as long as we're hitting what we need to hit on it, I think going into too much detail is,
Agreed.
It is,
It
yeah.
is too
But
much.
if you think about what Roland just said in terms of what do you want to live beyond the people in this room,
yeah.
and knowing what your vision and goals are right now, you've set that for the district. What are the most important pieces that you think should be in policy to
Yes, but
continue?
superintendent evaluation in our philosophy, in our educational philosophy, I think is, I know, I'm just saying, right? I would say,
It's a lot. Yeah.
yeah, because we're talking education and our goals for that education and our objectives. I don't think superintendent evaluation should live in that space.
Yeah, I agree.
I think what we have is great, just add maybe to the theory of action.
And I think we always prided ourselves on keeping it, not too wordy, keeping it simple, you know, but not so simple that it's not impactful.
Right.
But keeping it
Yeah.
to the point, the size that it is impactful. And people do read it, and it does make sense. Sometimes you get into like 5 pages and you're like, okay, you know, I'm like worded out, you know.
So David said, how many ways you said
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Ms.
From-
Johnson is looking at board
What's-
policy because she wants to know what East Central's educational
And
philosophy
she's
is.
like,
And she's
forget it.
reading about a
Never
superintendent.
mind, yeah, yeah.
I just know that from my view, in looking inward, when a principal or a teacher looks at the educational philosophy, it needs to be immediately recognized as, yep,
Yeah, oh, yeah,
that's our North Star goal. That's what we're doing. Those are our student outcomes. Goal progress measures, that's right. That's what we're held to account to on the cadence of the county and on the regular. And that is our theory of action. We have to do these things, and if we do, we'll get these results.
yes.
Like, I want them, from my view as superintendent, I want it codified in policy that whatever is on this paper happens beyond us, and that the people in the organization executing look at it and go, yep,
Yeah,
it's not just something on paper.
right.
My fear is some of this, like, guiding principles, ambitious, limitless, diverse, like, yeah, it's on a poster.
Yeah.
We've seen this before.
Yeah.
Sure, okay, copy paste, put it up there, and then it just
Somebody
gets,
put the
it
House Bill
gets
3
dusty.
goals.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
House Bill 3 goals are an inventory, write it on your educational
Well, and
philosophy.
our
So back
long-range
to-
goals essentially mirror the mandated House Bill 3
Yes.
goals, but by calling them the board's long-range goals, they're your goals. They're not House Bill 3's goals, they're your goals.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
a suggestion was, given what you have on your strategy on page, making sure that one, it needs to be updated for next year, but then making sure that all of that is part of AE local. But there's more on strategy on page than what we've just talked about.
Yeah.
Strategy on page also has what your priorities are. But if they're long-term priorities, I mean, you don't have to update them every year.
No, right, you're right.
But back to, if people want to see what is East Central about? What is our education? I mean,
Yes.
I think your strategy on the page is an excellent example of that,
Mhm.
plus a theory of action.
Yeah, plus the theory of action.
Yeah.
So yeah, to her point, when you look at the strategy on the page, it includes vision, mission, and vision, student experience, North Star goal, the long range goals, the North Star goal, and the 4 strategic priority areas and the strategic actions underneath each one of them that we're performance managing. Everything's there, but I don't know what of that you want reflected in the policy. But everything on the strategy on the page is exactly what's being executed by the practitioners in the organization.
And that's the most important thing.
That's what's
Like,
driving
when you're
the
reading
work.
it,
That's what's
Yeah.
And if
driving
you want
the
everything
work.
to align to that, then do you want that to live in policy?
Yes, if we are doing
Agreed.
it, we want to put it, and I want them to see it, and then I want them to know they see it and it is happening. That's my point.
Okay,
Yeah, I think we've got some insight into where we could
okay.
consider making some amendments stay local.
Well, let me not get too ahead of myself, but I'm trying to use this does anybody have questions about what is a theory of action? Do we need to spend some time talking about that, or are you able to infer that from the examples that you saw in the sample policies? This idea of if we do these things, then we'll get this outcome.
Right.
Okay. So then, I just want to reorient folks. Usually, if you look at the theories of action that are in these policies, the then statement is usually the North Star goal.
Yeah.
If we do these things, we will achieve what we said our North Star goal is, okay? And we're going through this, just big ideas again, and all the things that we talked about this year. 4 essential actions of SGS are set a North Star goal and conduct an annual school planning process, create, expand, and replicate high quality, high demand school models, empower families through school choice and access supports, and develop collaborative and sustainable central office structures. All deans is closest to that. I think they had one extra bullet about making sure that they engaged the community and what they offered was reflective of met the community's needs. So just again, reorient everyone. We spent a lot of time in the second session in December talking about the annual school planning process. And so this is where we talked about there should be a quality seats analysis every year. What is that? That's a mechanism by which you look at all the data so that you can make informed choices or actions. Actions can be at a school level, they can be at a systems level. The idea then is performance managing those so that if you believe that's the right action, you follow it through and you make adjustments so that you get the result that you intended. That's another thing we talked about, not every district does well, it's an area of opportunity. But you guys are putting in, if we put in a structure to help support that. And then this was the strategy on the page. You guys know what that is because it's so embedded here. But I just wanted to remind everybody of kind of what these key practices are. What do you want to see in your theory of action? And if you say, I just like the way Aldi did it, that's fine too. We also have an example. This is super old, early SGS from Lubbock. But it is another example of how they just took what are the essential actions and put them in a quote unquote theory of action format. I just want to make sure you have a chance to see that before I ask you a question. So the other 2 districts, Longview and San Antonio, are both districts that have leveraged the partnership strategy for Senate Bill 882 partners, which is why you see their theories of action. I don't want to say very focused on partners, but partners are a key element of their theories of action for that purpose. And that was very intentional on their part. You have a partnership, so that might be another component of your theory of action that's not in all deans because at this time they don't have a partnership. But all of these are kind of key ideas. So is there one of these that you think we largely like that example, we want to model off of that one? As a question.
As far as the
In
example, the
terms
sample,
of, yeah, like either this sample or the Aldine one, or is there one that you're like, oh, I really like that one? You know, we should adopt that, but add some things that are East Central specific, or.
The structure of this one, it feels like a good template
To
for
start
us to
with.
anchor to and then create ours from.
Okay, we kind of talked about, right, we didn't like all the busyness. and
Yeah.
all that, so this is kind of.
Yeah, I like the if clean, if we do these things, then this is gonna be the result, and
Yeah.
it's
That's straight call my eye rather than.
Actually, devil's advocate. Now, does this specifically include things like conduct a quality seats analysis and annual school plan every year, or other key practices that we've talked about that you would want to add to this to make sure that it's very explicit?
Yeah, there's room for putting our touch on it, our flavor.
So,
yeah.
Like when you read this,
I
what's
like-
missing?
I don't like the content, I only like the structure.
Oh,
I believe
okay.
our people will dive into the content.
Okay, gotcha, okay.
And
Agreed.
That's.
I'm not gonna say better or worse, but from my view, ours would be much more substantive
Okay.
and much more explicit and connected to the work that we're doing that we believe is what has to be done to get these results.
Okay.
So,
Then can we talk about what some of those things are
Yeah.
now that you would expect to see in a field of action? Not because we're crafting it, but just what are the big ideas that you would want to see? And I can go back to the essential actions if that's helpful,
well, I mean,
or don't necessarily.
I think we would just specifically look at the actual work that we're doing.
Mhm.
You know, we would do an annual quality seats analysis.
That's
to
what I mean.
inform,
Okay.
Yeah, to inform, you know, our annual school plans, to inform our strategic tiered support, that would inform our strategic priorities and strategic actions, and we would develop progress measures and accounting mechanisms for, and cadence of accounting to ensure that we're monitoring progress and making, and responding to the data in real time
I was
with
gonna say the real time
impactful
portion, I
adjustments,
think,
and
is super.
like, it would be
Okay.
along the lines of, we're gonna do these things in this sequence
Right.
with discipline. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, ongoing, annual, they're not events, they're embedded in what we do. It's the entire cycle that is required to ensure that when we say continuous improvement and continuous growth, we ain't playing when it comes to student outcomes.
Okay.
So those things would be listed, and I think we would also see what we would do to ensure that we're, well, you might see things like we would use high-quality instructional materials and the ways that we would utilize those things as instructional leaders to support the upskilling of teaching and learning, and how we would monitor effective teaching and learning to ensure that, you know, teachers are developing their skill set, and we're monitoring the progress of highly effective instruction that's happening in classrooms across the system and in individual grade levels and individual subjects and across the campus. Like
Do
we'd be-
you already have a place where you articulate some of those things?
Yeah, I mean, not in a document like this,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
So like the, what I just articulated as far as being able to identify what we mean by quality instruction,
Right.
we've done that. How we actually monitor it, collect data about it, we're now doing that. How we report it, aggregate it, and make it visible,
But so this would be the
That's
first
what-
time putting all those ideas together.
that's
to
right.
say,
So
if
we
do
now
these
have
things,
learned that
Okay.
all of these things I'm espousing
Okay.
are actually the things we have to do and are doing
Okay,
to result in 80% or better by 2030 AV schools.
okay.
So I know, like, in very short order, the team
Yes.
with ESTAT will get down to this business and create an annual, or a theory of action that will really reflect exactly what we do. And when the board sees it, we'll go, yep, that's the stuff y'all been talking about,
Right.
real quick. And we want it in policy because outliving all of us is, with this school system, all of those things are gonna happen
Right.
in a cycle throughout the year, rinse, repeat. It's gonna be visible, we're gonna be accountable for it, manage it.
So we're doing it, they're doing it, but you're saying you wanna see it in policy?
That's right.
Yes.
In our,
Yes.
our AE.
If you think that's what's gotten you the success that you've had so far, and that's how you will continue to meet your goals,
Yeah.
then yes, let's make it stick.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about that too with the board itself, like updating the board operating procedures, having all these,
Correct.
policies, these procedures and doing things. If that's there, we step out, somebody steps in,
Right.
it's
It's
just
gonna
so
keep-
Take policy.
So wait, so you just said a lot of things.
Yeah.
Before we get too far away, did you agree with everything that you heard?
Yes.
Well, I think we're doing similar, to some of the things that he mentioned already, you know. at
Right.
Yes, sir.
conversation.
Right.
Because you know, I've been listening to what Mr. Kazan said, but in October, we do an assessment, and then they measure that, and then we do another assessment in May to see exactly where those kids are, and that's happening right now, you know, the way I see what's going on in the district, because I'm involved with my grandkids, and so I know what's going on, and this is why I know what he's mentioned, it's already happening,
Right.
you know what I mean? Unless I misunderstood.
No, sir, and if the board will, if we can put that together in a way that the board agrees, this is all the things
Yep.
that we think, number one, that y'all are doing and that we think has to be done in order to realize these kinds of outcomes, then the board adopts it in policy.
Yeah.
Because then it has to be
And have
done.
they been through the theory of action from SGS?
This is conversation number one. We'll work with admin team, we'll work with the executive advisors, Duncan and Matthew, to put a draft together. And then when we come back to you April 30th, we'll get your feedback on that
Yeah.
draft. And then you guys, I think, you can
Yeah.
take it to the board in May. You
Yeah.
can, for formal
So
approval.
what's exciting to hear though is that you guys are already doing it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
how much work is there really to be done except for just putting it all on?
That's what he
Put
was
the
saying.
main
Want codified in policy, let's stamp it,
Yeah.
Well,
so.
I do have one more question though.
Yes.
Because you listed a lot of things. Was there anything that you thought you would hear that you didn't? Anything, any other ideas that drive your decisions or that
From
you
looking at this or just
No, no.
thinking about theory of action?
just back out? If these are the things that we said we have to do in order to meet our North Star goal. Roland listed a whole bunch of things, all super
And we
important.
hear it every month though, that's
Yeah,
what's
that's the
exciting.
thing, I was gonna
It's not
say,
anything that we don't
and we're
hear.
seeing this success.
Yeah.
Because they're doing things that he mentioned.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure
For my
there
opinion.
was something else. Like I said, we'll put a draft together and
You know,
bring it back to you.
I could see this including possibly some things around leadership development. I can see this maybe having some things included about strategic compensation, you know, aligning evaluation to development to reward mechanisms in terms of,
I thought about that.
yeah. So I mean, I think
But
once
back
the
to,
team
without turning
travel,
it into like
once
a
the team-
2-page.
No, once the team
Yeah.
travels, I think you're gonna see us
Okay.
spit back something for the board to look at that's pretty concise
Yeah,
and
because we do
straightforward.
hear about professional growth and how you guys want the leadership opportunities. We grow our own
Right.
kind of thing, so.
So these, Dana, these are just actions, not timing mechanism actions, right? There's no time constraints on it? Okay.
This is back to this idea of educational philosophy.
Yep.
We believe this is the way to achieve the district's vision and goals.
Perfect. Thanks, very helpful.
You're gonna go to Duncan and he's gonna be like,
No.
work to do.
We've already talked. We've already talked with them and they're ready. Yeah, no, this is good. Okay, let me.
Here we go.
Okay, you give it all the theory, you give it all the policies. Oh, that was my question. You do have a partnership. Does that belong in your theory of action somewhere as a key strategy? Or is it already accounted for in something broader?
So she's referring to like an 1882 partnership, or one is CAS,
Okay.
right? And, yeah, so from my view, you look at what we're trying to accomplish, what our bar is for results from students in our school system, and sometimes you might see that the challenges are so overwhelming, that our bandwidth is so limited, that potentially a strategic opportunity could be to bring in partners who actually operate and take accountability for some of your schools. So if we say we want all of them to be 80 schools, and we look at our bandwidth, and we look at our current reality, and we say, man, we've got enough bandwidth to focus on these 6, but we need 16. Maybe we explore some strategic partners that we might give a few of these schools to and say, while we're doing these 6, y'all might be working on those 6, and together we might get 12 this year, right? So it's almost as if you acknowledge that we can't do it all, potentially. Or, in our case, we can't do what CAST is doing currently because of the way they're structured with industry partnerships already on board to create those internship and practicum and real industry exposure in those particular pathways. So that's why we explored that one. So I say all that to say the context is so different than in SAISD. They were losing enrollment. Their performance was so bad. At the time, they wanted so much more faster that it made sense to maybe consider a strategy first, above all, to bring in a bunch of operating partners to accelerate not only enrollment, but also accelerate student outcomes. Because our bandwidth was such when you looked at the overall current reality. So I'm just saying, I don't think that operating partners in 1882 is not something we should constantly consider. But I think it's got to be the right situation, the right time, and it's not necessarily a broad stroking strategy, because we don't have the lack of bandwidth that we feel like we got to give a few of our schools up, right? Like one thing the last time we talked about this, we had Legacy that was really struggling. Of course, we've turned that around through a different approach. But one of the considerations was potentially to partner with a university, A&M San Antonio, and enter into a charter partnership where they help us operate Legacy, so we could push in a whole lot of different support to elevate teaching and learning and student outcomes. It was one consideration. We chose the ACE pathway. 1882 is still on the table as a possible option for Legacy going forward. I'm saying all that to say it could be included in our theory of action. At this particular point, as the superintendent, I don't think it's a major.
Nothing to put in policy.
I mean, we might, but it's not a major strategy that we're going to deploy. It
No,
could
but
be.
I'll offer another perspective.
Yeah.
Partnerships were not part of the previous educational aid local in SAISD. They were a result of, now we have a lot of partners. How do we make sure that we're working together and collaboratively and that kind of thing? Because there was it's like a third of the district.
Yeah, yeah.
Longview was very similar. That's why you see partners in collaboration with partners, that kind of thing. So you do have a partnership. It would just be whether or not that emphasis on collaboration with partners, even your current partner, rises to the level of a mentioned policy.
I do like
That's
that.
all.
So I like that different take.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of partners as 1882 operating partners, but I like to think, to your point, of partners more broadly, that we might codify our theory of action, in our theory of action, how we work with partners to enhance student outcomes. So we're working with Toyota at Pecan Valley to enhance the student experience in that school. So what language would we put around defining exactly how we expect the relationship to be with partners? If that partner happens to be a charter operator, or if that partner happens to be a business and industry partner.
Right.
Does that
Yes.
make more sense?
Or a higher education partner.
Or a higher education partner. Bottom line is,
We're talking about targeted partnerships.
there you go. Targeted, mutually beneficial, Like,
Yep.
these are some of the terms we use now. We're very targeted and strategic when we select a partner, but we also enter in that relationship with an orientation that it's gotta be win-win.
Right.
Like, Toyota's just not coming in to give to us. Like, we gotta deliver on their investment, on what they are hoping they're investing in, right? So, our language in our theory of action might have language like mutually beneficial, you know. So
Shared accountability.
shared accountability, there you go. Yeah. So I do think there could be a place for
Okay.
codifying how partnership arrangements are structured.
Okay.
Yeah, man, and that, he's talking about partners. When you, partners mostly, when you partner with them, it's for financial gain also. Am I right?
It can be.
It could be.
Could be.
So, but how much influence do they have when you start letting them get too involved in what's going on in the schools? I mean, because when they give money, you know, then they want to have a say so.
Well, I think
So-
it depends on the type of partnership and what your share.
Yeah, so I'll do
goals
like
are.
another big partner, of course,
Okay.
is communities and schools.
Okay, right.
Okay, so we do pay for the services that they provide, but the
Okay.
partnership is such, that what they have to offer in our ability to case manage every individual student, and respond to their needs and monitor the effect of the supports we're providing so that they can continue to thrive academically is so important that, there's a strategic, intentional partner, and it's mutually beneficial because they're investing a lot. They've written us into grants, so it's not, what we're paying is, we're getting a lot more in return, but we have to deliver.
Yeah.
Like, so the case management model has to be executed, or they're not delivering on what their mission is. So the bigger point is there has to be some general context for what we mean by, if we partner strategically, shared accountability, in mutually beneficial ways, then we'll get these results, right? So that's another component of the if we do these things. One of those things is we have very strategic partnerships that help us get the ball down the road.
That's okay.
And
That's
yeah, so some of them might give us money, Toyota,
Yeah.
but that's codified in the agreement. You're gonna give us this, then we're gonna do that.
Do that, okay.
We're gonna get these results. We're gonna
Because
deliver
to
on
be
these
fair,
outcomes.
even your CAS, and we'll talk about this a lot later,
Oh, yeah,
but even your CAS agreements
Yeah.
has that.
yeah.
You know, this is what you're gonna do, this is what we're gonna do, this is what we
Right,
expect in
okay.
outcomes, these are the consequences if we don't meet, you know what I mean? Like, it's, I don't think we as districts have always done as great of a job in managing our partners,
Yep.
in the same way that we do operating partners in our new reality.
I do think there's some opportunity for us to really think through,
Whether or not that belongs.
if with regard to partners, we do these things,
Yeah.
what would these things be? Let's
Yeah.
put those parameters in place so that that's what happens when we're partnering.
Okay.
So we have to be strategic in choosing our partners and making sure that they align up with what we're trying to get. Obviously, when you have a partnership, it's to be a kind of a win-win, but at the same time, if our goals and philosophies aren't met through these partners, then maybe they're not the best fit
That's right.
for us. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think about CAS when it first started. Wasn't the districts hadn't tried to have partnerships with business and industry before we had? It was just they went and studied what that looked like across the country and where that was successful. And they came back and they put a model where people really came to the table with different expectations of what the outcomes would be and how they would all contribute to that. That's part of why
Yeah,
it became what it is.
yeah,
So,
sure.
yeah. But I do, as you expand, at another high school, I mean, you might be at a point where you could do something similar like CAST, maybe not with CAST, so maybe it's a different partner.
Well,
And not operating partner,
I just,
other types
yeah,
of
I
business
just
and
love the
industry
notion of
leaders.
just
Yeah.
partnerships, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
we do have strategic partnerships with Alamo colleges, we have strategic partnerships with A&M San Antonio, we have
Yeah.
a lot of different partners
Yeah.
that are very intentional They have a goal for the
Yes.
partnership, and we have a goal for the partnership. If we match, if our values match, and our interests can be mutually beneficial, then we partner. And we
Right.
codify it in an agreement or a contract up front. What you're gonna do, what I'm gonna do, and as long as we hold up our end of the deal,
Both parties are happy.
we stay in a relationship.
Yes.
But we've gotta just, let's formalize in our theory of action what we mean by partnership. Because if I'm gone, or y'all are gone, the next folks might have a whole lot different idea about partnership.
Right.
And we wanna codify best
Definition, right.
best practice, right? If we do this with regard to partnerships, we should get this.
So you're saying definitely put that in our theory of action?
I think we should,
Yeah,
I'm
I
saying,
agree.
we'll add that to the draft.
yeah.
And then when we come back, we've had time away from it, and, you know, all the other things that are gonna happen between now and then revisit, are these the things?
Yeah.
Because we have that partnership because of our educational philosophy. So that's.
Absolutely.
So,
Okay.
because the expectation is in April, it's not set in stone, it's just something to respond
Oh,
to then.
y'all just wait
Yeah.
when we bring that back for the first look.
That's right.
It will be awesome.
You're not gonna
I'm
need a
telling
second.
you, it's gonna be awesome.
Oh,
Shane,
so
is it gonna be
impressed.
awesome?
It's gonna be amazing. Blow your mind.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Okay.
You're gonna see Jesus after you read it.
Okay, so anybody need a break before we start operating procedures?
Y'all need a break? Plow through.
Let's go.
Okay.
Do you have, where
Mo
are
said, let's
the,
go.
do you have the results for the things that we
I
put?
do.
Alright.
I do, but I want to make sure everybody,
She
okay.
said I was some stuff in
There wasn't enough in.
So, you have a copy of yours, okay? And then you have a copy of Frisco's. Dana Ray is not saying that Frisco's is the end all be all in board operating procedures, but it's a really strong example, and it's a district that updates it every year.
No, I like it. It's not front and back.
And so it's there as a resource in case there's something in yours that you want to look at the language of how maybe Frisco did it.
That's how we did it when we.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I also shared, we didn't print it, but I also shared San Antonio's because it's not it doesn't look traditional at all. And you can tell that it's largely just really based on what the board needed procedures about. So again, two different approaches, all right? I will also say, only 4 folks responded to the board operating procedure survey. The board self-assessment, great. This one, and I get it, because you had to kind of read through.
it. Wait, was I supposed to respond to it?
You can ask me.
Oh, I never know I'm supposed to or not.
I mean, they're the board operating procedures, but it's okay.
Because I didn't.
No
Way to
worries.
go, Lauren.
One of them.
Okay. So, let me find the right tab.
I can really move now.
You can barely read that? Let me see if I can blow it up a little bit
I can
more.
move because I need to stand anyway, so.
There you go, that's better.
Okay.
Clearer on the screen.
Yeah, see only 4 folks. So interestingly enough, of the 4 that responded, role of school board of trustees and superintendent as a section rose to the top. And then you can see their conduct during board meetings, a little bit of an outlier, and then after that, not a huge disparity between the others until you get down to the bottom. So you want to start with role of school board of trustees and superintendent?
Mm-hmm.
And even though it was anonymous, if you did respond, you had some thinking around that, let's talk about it. Oh, I will share comments. Hold on one second, let me find them.
Great, everybody's gonna know my comments now. Just kidding.
It doesn't say
Okay.
whose comments.
I've said it out loud before, I'm sure.
Let me make this bigger. Comments, and I tried to categorize them where I could see clear categories. There were several related to the superintendent evaluation. And then you can see the others there. Just take a minute to sort of read through what people put in the open responses.
Somebody had more words than me. What?
I feel like superintendent evaluation was kind of a hot topic.
It's a hot topic.
I
The
just,
formative is happening in a couple of weeks, so it should be top of
Yes.
mind, hopefully.
mine is just our cleanup instrument. But we've already done that, so it's good to go. But it needs to be board operating procedures, that's why, that's what we were supposed to say, right? Like,
Yeah, if there's something that is old language that needs to come out and updated with relevant or current practice, if there were, maybe Frisco had a section you didn't have, maybe you like the way they did something. It's whatever you need it to be, given that they're your procedures. We just need a place to start. And we're not gonna get through all these tonight, so like, where do you need us to spend the time,
If it's helpful,
if it's helpful?
I will say that in a couple of weeks, when we do the mid-year review, one of the big components of that is for me to walk the board through another look at the superintendent scorecard, which is the evaluation instrument that is the new instrument that is aligned to the goals that you guys have set forth, and how that scorecard will be utilized. And we can have a great discussion about that to make sure that it meets what you guys set as expectations for the evaluation instrument and drives the evaluation process in a manner that you guys agree to. And if you do, then we'll apply that scorecard and process at the summative evaluation in July. Okay, so I'm only saying that to say that the first bullet or first couple of bullets are talking about that. We can spend time talking about it tonight, but also know it's gonna be a big discussion as a team in a couple of weeks. And I have the updated scorecard ready to present, ready to discuss. I'll even overlay last year's data into the scorecard so you can see how it would have applied if it were utilized last year. So then you guys can say, adjust this, adjust that, we like this, we don't like that, overall, thumbs up, and then we'll know what we'll be using in July for the formal evaluation. Does that make sense? So if that's helpful, maybe there are some other places you guys want to start in the operating procedure.
Agreed.
Okay. And then following that, if there needs to be clarity in the procedures, you'll update that.
Follow it, yeah.
learning from other districts, because I indicated that that's the best way I learn. It's one we don't write on anything, right? We say, and then usually our chair does the scoring. We don't turn in 7 different, we talk and we turn in 1.
That's the best practice, yes.
Right, so I would like to.
Districts do it many different ways.
Right.
Yes.
But
Yes.
to do.
Do you have the opportunity to reflect individually before you come
Yes.
together? Yeah, no, so as long as there's that, we should then, with one voice.
One voice.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking. And then I like the scorecard thing, I'm super excited about. It'll be easier, not easier, because you make it easy for us, but it's gonna be aligned with everything, so best practice, policy, it's gonna just, anybody that steps in.
Yep.
But
That's
I
right.
would say, since a lot of people had questions, and maybe it's just needing to talk through it, but then what should be in the procedure related to superintendent evaluation?
Yep.
If a new board member joined, that should be pretty clear, they shouldn't have so many questions. So that's why I say, a lot of times it's just making sure that what's in procedure captures what is in practice or what has become in practice, in addition to policy. So, there was a group that we worked with last year that it just had been so long since they even looked at the board operating procedures, everything had to be revised. So even though they were, everybody could articulate, oh, we don't do that anymore, we do it this way. It just wasn't, So, okay, so I get curious, if that satisfies superintendent evaluation, put this back up.
Well, like, if y'all wanna look at what's in board operating procedures currently, and then what's in Frisco's, one or the other, to see if that aligns.
For superintendent
Uh-huh.
evaluation.
Since that was,
So y'all's is page 12. Do you have Frisco's page?
9.
That's page 9 in the Frisco document.
Frisco's 9.
Frisco's 9, East Central's 12.
What's the blank before July?
That's a good question.
August 12th,
Frisco's is largely what's in policy. I'll give you an example. We're gonna do the same activity with Abilene in a couple of weeks. And they just went through a process by which they adopted a new evaluation tool for the superintendent and had a lot of conversation about how that should work. It doesn't serve them well to just use what's in policy. They need to actually articulate that in their board operating procedures so that as trustees change, you know, that process stays intact.
I would rather have the structure of Frisco's, the ABCD, instead of the 2 large paragraphs or 3.
Breaks it down.
Oh, you mean just in terms of like a reformatting of the procedures? Like a
Yeah.
numbering and, okay.
And like, so we don't use the commissioner's instrument. Do we need to put, if the board does not use the commissioner's recommended appraisal process and criteria? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that we should go from policy and then A, B, C, and D it instead of the paragraph format, maybe. But then, do we have to go through the whole thing like that? No, because they're pretty much broken down.
Well, because the policy basically tells you that you can use the commissioner's tool or you can adopt something
Right.
else.
So
So then
essential,
I would put it in the procedure, whatever you've chosen to use or what.
adopted our own.
Yeah.
yeah, so we know there's a formative in February, there's a summative in July.
We use our own scorecard, not the
I like the
commissioner's.
language in there about that the board will be trained on the superintendent evaluation process and specifically on the instrument that will be utilized. So that's what we'd be doing in a couple of weeks.
Right.
We'll be kind of training and making sure we're all in agreement. And then if everybody agrees with it, you've essentially adopted it,
That's right,
and then we'll use it in July.
that's right.
So that's, as long as the procedures are clear, that that's what's expected, is that every February
Right.
in the formative evaluation, we'll be reviewing the instrument,
Right.
making sure that it applies, and then that serves as the training and the approval.
Is there somewhere though that it says something about September, that it has to be, is it our timeline?
It's
That
y'all's
when we
timeline.
adopt it? Because for some reason I was reading,
I mean, I can go look at the policy.
if you don't mind,
Sure.
I'd appreciate it, because I think somewhere it says,
After?
that we review and adopt, review and, for some reason I'm thinking there's a not there.
Well, and I would say going forward, the board could adopt this scorecard in September, re-adopt it in
Right,
September,
if there's-
train on it in February, apply it in July.
That,
That could even be,
Yeah, and what I like about it too is you think about if a new board member comes on, you have the training prior to, right?
Yeah,
You
because they
you
come
do
on
it in
in
February.
election,
Yeah,
November.
February's training.
during the orientation, they will be trained
yeah, so even
on
if they're due in November,
the new
right,
stuff.
February always is the training
No
on the
doubt.
instrument.
Yeah, and then they're, yeah,
They're ready
instead
to go
of
in
just,
July.
yep,
You show up for the evaluation.
knowing at least
what the
one,
heck.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
good.
yeah, no, it is
That's really
illegal.
good.
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, I can't remember where I read it, but I thought that there was, and if I didn't and I was reading too much and I can't remember, it was something else, but I want to say there was So if it's not in policy.
It's not in
we should-
policy.
Okay, perfect, then we put in the board operating procedures just exactly what you guys said. The timeline of it, the structure of adopting.
Okay, so it looks, Dana, like the components are there, but they like to clean up the format and make it just straightforward bulleted, either A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3, 4, but not paragraphs.
But that's for the whole document, right?
Eventually, maybe.
Maybe,
Oh.
eventually, maybe.
But this right here, for sure.
Sorry, there's a part of me that's like, oh, you would just do it for this one.
Oh, yeah, the whole thing, Dana, the whole thing,
Let's go, girl. We have that 8-hour meeting that we're gonna have.
the whole thing. With it. With it.
After 5, or, no.
Okay, where do you want to go next? I am curious what the thinking was behind the first one, the role of school board of trustees and superintendent. That's at the very beginning.
I think what I was thinking, because I know I rated that high, I think what I was thinking is, here is the central board operating procedures. This is what we think is important as a board of trustees and a superintendent of this district, how we operate. This is how it is. Does that make sense? Like that was my thought.
But in terms of the actual section in the procedures, does that accurately reflect what
So
you thought?
I just.
You weren't the only person. to
Okay,
be
because
fair.
we rated it of importance
Yes.
of where we want it in here.
Oh,
That's what I was
no, I'm
thinking.
sorry, it was.
They were rating it based on where how they thought it,
Yeah,
those
yeah.
sections should
It
show
was
up.
supposed to be, where do we need to spend time talking about?
Oh.
Like, which sections need to be?
I didn't take that.
That's.
I took it.
I took it as,
So they took it as the role of board of trustees and superintendent should be first.
Oh.
It should be the first section.
No, it should be, where do we need to spend some time talking about different parts of
Pull
the.
that in.
Okay, skip that.
I don't think conduct during board meetings is number 2, that's for sure.
No.
Okay,
That's what threw me off too. I started reading. That score was
where is it even at?
said, rank them from most board duties and board for discussion and revision.
Just
Hey,
explain.
2 years ago, that would have been top priority. 2 years economy.
That's great. All right. Well, then just look at the table of contents.
It's
And other than superintendent evaluation.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious, the way it came out. Who said 5 hours?
I put, there is a typo. I don't know if y'all caught it, but,
Can you tell us
why
where
is
you're
that
at?
all caps? It's in the very first statement. Board members and the superintendent pledge, to be honest, it's attempt to withhold, or withholding.
With the whole.
With a hold.
We're gonna withhold.
With the whole.
So why is that all in caps? Did we say why we put that all in caps?
Like you're swearing somebody in the office.
Somebody at the time thought it was really important.
I think the format of the model we followed might have had that in caps, so when Camry put this all together with the notes that we had given her,
Yeah,
I think that template had
just
that.
kept it. And
had
that's
that- had
Do you
that
want it to go
category.
back to?
I think we should just put that normal.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
We don't need
Like
to
I was
shout.
reading it.
Yeah, we don't need to shout. We ain't shouting anywhere else.
But I don't know.
That's the only thing that looks like that too.
I know, that's what I'm saying, we're not shouting anywhere else, it's there.
Okay.
So that's a good catch.
Okay. Somebody said in comments, duties of school board need to be reviewed and may need updating. Some are short and may need more information. So that's letter A.
That wasn't me. I like it short and sweet. Who said that?
It wasn't me.
Who said
I
that?
feel like that was me.
Randall.
Somebody likes to read.
Randall, you do like to.
I was reading this in night, so I actually
So
read
you
this
like
one
these
too.
paragraphs, you don't like the bullet points.
Well, they also said may need updating. Is there anything when you read through duties of the school board that are not current?
I think it's
We need to add that while the superintendent is on
That was me.
duty 24/7, do you know what section that is?
No, but I wanted to add it somewhere.
No doubt.
It's something that we had as a committee, a discussion, and it was on our agenda, so if
Yes.
anybody says anything,
Yes.
it was on our agenda, because we went, on our policy committee, we started off with our board operating procedures, the policies that pertain to that. So, we said, sometimes, we get a little
Sure.
loose with the phone, and, oh, I'm gonna call Roland right now. And it's 9 o'clock on a Thursday night. So I think. Never
I
happened.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
You
So you
enjoy it.
should, I'm trying to find the
I told them.
communication.
So where could we put that in
So
communication?
page
But
11 has
maybe-
communication between the board and superintendent.
No, we won't take care
Can you repeat that, sorry?
Page 11,
Page 11?
at the very top of the page has letter A, communication between the board and the
Yes.
superintendent.
Perfect.
Okay. So you want
So
something to
number-
reflect that
Number 3,
idea?
or maybe put it in here? Wait a minute. I thought I read this and I couldn't remember for sure or not. The superintendent and board president shall communicate with each other on at least a weekly basis. Are we doing that? Do we need to check in on y'all, or y'all communicating at least?
Yeah, we,
A lot.
4 to 6 times a month,
I
easy.
know.
Until she calls at like 9 or 10.
I was
at
gonna
night.
say, is that what you're thinking? You stopped calling at 9
I'm already asleep.
Mo,
I'm like Ginger, my bedtime's 8:30.
I'm doing yoga.
I have so
Cutting into my
many
yoga.
alarms set on my phone to call people the next day, and then Callie was like, Mom, you know, you can schedule.
Well, that's funny, because you know what's funny about
My
my
life
phone?
has
At
changed.
8 o'clock, it goes to notifications
Oh,
silence.
yes.
And I'm like, well, hell, I guess I can't
You don't
connect.
have to worry about.
I hope I don't ever
calling.
need anything.
I'm sorry, I'm not stuck in the
Back to
age.
8, sorry.
If you're in her favorites, it'll go through anyway.
Don't tell them that.
You're gonna put Ginger's favorites.
So mine used to be 24/7.
So, yes, eventually, I would like to, that's just me, shorten and maybe not so much, whatever, like some of the other ones in Frisco. But for now, can we just add that? And does everybody agree to that? I can't be the only one.
What you speaking of that?
Agree to what?
The one
Let's
that's
take
shaded.
that emergency.
Oh, yeah.
What are you saying now?
That he's not 24/7 for us unless it's an emergency.
Divine emergency?
Like, somebody's breaking into ECDC.
Or we get a phone call if there's been a shooting.
School's on fire.
Something like what now?
Maybe we heard, a neighbor called and said, I heard shots in a neighborhood, or, I don't know if you said something.
Chloe
you
came
wanted us
home
to
and said
report,
that somebody was gonna shoot up the school, or
Is that what you want us to call you about?
that's an emergency.
Yeah.
What do you think,
That's
Barbara?
definitely.
Well, I was just,
Jeremiah,
you know,
right back in.
what's an emergency to me might not be an emergency to you,
Yeah.
you know?
That's why I say, hey, call this guy over here, tell him I'm a board member so I can get this game.
Right. That might be an emergency. It might not so other emergency. You know, see, it might not be an emergency, but it might be an emergency to me.
Yeah.
So we
Or-
have to define what emergency
And that,
is.
you're right, and that's why I'm saying this is good
Yeah, yeah,
dialogue,
so
because
yeah.
that, to me, that's a statement that I think shouldn't have to be put in, but we're quitting, right? We're giving up our seat, somebody else is gonna step in.
Mhm.
If they read this, they might resist the urge to call Roland about
At
the
least-
basketball game at 9 o'clock.
At least make them.
That's a virtue.
What is it?
But I would also say, whether it's me or any superintendent in the future, we definitely don't want any superintendent to have the signal that you don't have to be responsive and available 24/7.
I know.
It just means that we're all
We need
agreeing
to be
as a team
respectful.
that we'll be mindful
Mindful.
of business and business hours and times, but that we're always going to address
Like,
With
should I put
exceptions.
that?
what needs to be addressed regardless.
That's why I put,
So,
while the soup is on duty 24/7, because we know you are.
there you go.
Yes.
It's best practice to
That-
hold off on
that's-
that.
We should keep
That's
calls and text to business
Yeah,
hours.
that bus driver that was, you know,
Unless
not
it's an
smiling.
emergency.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are
so
you
some
comfortable
language
with-
like use
I was gonna say, are you
discretion.
comfortable with us taking a pass at?
Absolutely,
putting
take a
some
pass.
in your-
I think you get the spirit of it,
Yes.
yeah.
100%.
All right.
Okay. Let's all go see if Frisco has anything like that.
yeah.
No.
Okay. This next one, information requests by board members. Update this item to include the board portal as the primary way to request information and get the information to all board members. Where is that section?
I don't know if I put that. Do we even have that? Because we didn't have this, we have the board hub default when we did this.
We didn't have a board hub, so this is saying we should update
We
it.
need to add
Add
that.
something like that, is what you're saying?
Yeah,
And-
not
and-
update, add.
Yeah.
Because we also want to make sure in the future boards that there is a hub. But put a hub in place, keep that hub going.
Because it feels like it should be in communications, I don't see anything like that, like,
I would put it in communication because it is our communication from them, not necessarily just the superintendent. I mean, it's from your office.
well, the reason so right now, you have communications in a few buckets. You have between the board and the superintendent, communication with the media, anonymous phone calls or letters, and communication with the public.
This is
So-
communication from him to
So you
us,
would
Between
put
the
this
board
in
and
the,
superintendent.
in the superintendent board section?
but I wouldn't know how to word that. That's
It's okay,
fine.
we can,
And boards,
You
you
got that?
can, superintendent, golf,
that is-
boards, related schools.
She's got it. Document.
Board members are encouraged
That's why we're gonna
communication.
have
Phone
to
calls,
go.
email. Yeah, I think in number one there, there's an opportunity to call out the hub.
okay, we can do that. And then, I think we should add a clear process to scheduling campus visits and
That's me.
visits with staff.
Us.
That's me only because us, sorry,
Yeah, hey, come
I put it, you didn't write it.
on. You're right.
Do you have a section for that?
Yes,
Yes.
What's,
it is, because it references policy. Hold on though, because the board hub, would that be also all board member questions and requests for information will be initiated through either the superintendent or the board president? Because we use the hub for questions, so we can all see, so that
Sure
kind
do.
of coincide with that also.
You might name the hub there as well.
Added twice.
Request for information,
oh,
that they do that through the hub as well.
okay.
You might
Can you just tell me which page?
Yes, page number 8.
memorize this. You
I
got
know,
your
my God.
homework. Oh, but you know Frisco's.
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't. Oh, page, okay, got it. Got it. Okay, that was adding the hub there, but then I didn't see a section specific to campus visits.
So I think it's page 10.
Some board,
Right here, number 5.
Okay.
Board members are encouraged to notify the superintendent and the campus principal of that one.
okay,
And it's in there, but we need to put
That word encouraged is, I think we can.
best practice, somebody steps in,
Mm-hmm.
they read, they are to go through Camry or that, her title,
Right.
to schedule visits.
okay.
So board members are to notify the superintendent and schedule campus visits through Camry
Yes.
or through his office? or
His
whatever?
office probably would be better stated than,
Superintendent's office.
than actually having to talk to him.
But, so from now on, I gotta email you and Camry?
No,
No, you just can't.
can't you just do Camry? Camry always lets me
Just
know.
don't do it late at night because she answers stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, she
Oh,
does.
this, because I said, don't answer this tonight, this is for tomorrow.
Yeah, so you need to start scheduling them like I do. I don't know how to do that, because she will.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's honest.
she does.
So yes,
So I'm assuming you want to start with where, it's like halfway through that paragraph on number 5. Notice of visits to campuses for any unscheduled activity is encouraged to be given to not the superintendent.
superintendent's office.
Do you want to say the board? Is it the superintendent's office?
Yes.
24 hours in advance?
That'd be anybody.
I mean, 24 hours in advance, we shouldn't be scheduling a visit that soon, because then they'll try to make it happen, and if they
Yeah, I
have
think-
something going on.
That's true. So you're
Do we
saying,
put a time on that? What do you think, Logan? What do you think, Shane?
I don't need to put times, it should be
Yeah,
scheduled.
no, it's just scheduled through and that way
We can
it
make
gives
it
us a chance to look at it and go, you know what?
They have something.
Tuesday's not a good day, Friday's better.
yeah,
Because they're testing on
Yeah.
Tuesday or
That's
whatever.
going on.
schedule.
Scheduled,
Yeah.
yeah.
And if we have a new board member coming in, and we do our,
They can-
and we
they
add
can-
this to our local orientation we say in all caps with our voice, a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
That's what we
And if, yeah,
But on
that
paper,
just
take
off,
out
that
the
just
time.
offers a little coordination, it streamlines it for everybody, for y'all too. You don't have to try to coordinate with multiple campuses, just, hey, let us know. Wanna go visit,
That's kind of
you
what.
know, Highland Forest, I wanna go visit Salado next week. I'm available Tuesday and Thursday, or Friday afternoon,
Yes,
whatever. Then Camry jumps on it,
all her screenings and.
now it's all
this.
coordinated.
So if we're taking the time out of the equation, this is not an encourage, this is a must. correct?
It's a
I
must.
think so.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
We want
That's
to
why
take
I
that out.
encourage
I was like, no.
It still leaves some,
Wiggle room, we don't want wiggle room.
and we're thinking about new members coming in. They
That's
don't know.
right. And having that mindset when it comes to this is always best because then it helps us. Yeah.
I mean, and a comment was complaints and grievances,
I wasn't, I'm not trying to call anybody out, but I would like to know.
and another comment was closed session.
I would like to know that too. That, what was the question on that when we added words? What did it say, list something, something, or what did it
So
say?
prioritize the sections that you want us to talk about, and then if you have specific changes you want to make, say what they are.
Changes.
Yeah.
So who wants to change complaints and grievances?
I did want to go back.
I don't think
I thought we talked to
I would've added words to it.
Where was the one that we talked about, the vice president automatically?
Oh, yes, that was.
Is that in here somewhere?
Yeah, I guess, or I thought it was.
Is it in the office?
I started on yours,
Office.
Randall, I put a star on it.
I
It
saw
is.
it. I also wrote notes.
Oh, right
on
here.
it, too.
Page
The-
4,
Yeah, page 4.
and then our policy, you have our policy?
Yeah, I saw that.
I did bring BDAA.
Shane's got it. We are changing this through Lexi at TASB,
Oh,
and he's been communicating it with her about that, because in policy it says,
2 years.
but the right away thing.
Yeah, oh yeah, no,
Mediation, whatever,
yeah, no.
automatically.
How does it read in policy?
That's actually in BDJA, but yes, that says that if the president has to step down and remove, that the vice president is automatically placed into the role of the president,
it says,
right? Yeah, and it's also in the board operating procedures
Correct.
survey as well, right?
So you want to change it.
They want to change
India.
it.
Yeah,
They
it
should
says-
say,
Oh, it's on here?
have to go through the
BDAA.
reorganization,
Vice
yes.
president become president only upon being elected to the position. That's in our policy. In our board operating procedures, it says,
Automatic.
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 Yeah. So we
Do you want it
to
to
say
match
in
the policy?
yes.
Did you pause?
Interesting.
What was the policy reference?
Yeah, she said she didn't want me to become.
BDAA.
BDAA.
What did she say?
BDAA.
It's vice president number 2.
On being elected.
I could go into detail about the language of that.
And it still right now has to go through the process and then get back up to TASB to say the 1 year. So it does right now currently say they reorganize every 2. It will switch to 1
Okay.
to match the language
That's a
and
policy.
of the operating
We
procedure.
can feel free to change that now, right?
Feel free. We're feeling.
Okay.
Just if you look it up, you don't see it says 2.
We
Fix
want
it.
to, yeah, we just want to revisit every November. Is there's not a section for officers, again, besides, yeah, that's the only one that I'm talking about.
Those were all the comments
I
that
don't
were made.
understand the.
No, no, it's okay.
I want somebody to elaborate on the grievances and complaints, because I'm confused. Like the process.
And if it doesn't need review or discussion, it's okay.
That's right.
So are there any other sections after you reviewed these or after looking at Frisco's that you thought we should talk about or consider? follow-up questions, we should call Ginger. I'm just kidding.
Yep.
That's it, that's
But
it.
not after 8:30.
That's true. That's true.
That's my,
Yeah, in my,
Text message,
Okay.
push, script, big message, push it in.
oh, this is it?
So just revisiting and going through here, eventually I would like to have it structured a different way, but that's just me.
Have a what?
Like have it structured shorter statements, not so many words. Because Frisco's number 1 or 2 or 3,
Yeah.
whereas ours is a paragraph and 1, 2, or 3 is in the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's okay. This was our first go around.
Oh, it
I mean,
was?
we've already revisited it
Right.
and
Yes.
but this was,
It's-
yeah, our initial one was a
I
chargeable
was gonna
family.
say, this is a lot better than.
Yeah, it was,
Oh.
it was early 90s, maybe? Mom was last time before we reviewed it, you said was
Oh,
early 90s?
yeah, it was a long, it was,
Long time. And
It was a
that's
one
okay.
pager, no trifold.
Well, now you have the, right, am I correct in that you have a practice of reviewing it once a year?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
And this is good because we did do that and we
Yeah.
have things to add
go back.
and.
I'll come here.
Cool.
So what page I do?
All right, you guys ready to keep going?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 5?
Let's keep going.
I would like,
Oh, good.
I basically wrong.
no, that's great. Okay, so we've shared this in the past. District staff self-assesses against an SGS rubric every quarter. And there's a meeting between district staff and TEA to discuss and calibrate around, you know, where you think you are as a district, where TEA thinks you are, that kind of thing. So one of the things we introduced this year to the board pathway is making sure you see that also, how the district rates itself using the implementation rubric. So we put this back in slideshow mode, although you do have it in your handouts. Just because the rubric is huge, we didn't print it, so instead we just put what the key practices are and how the district rated itself in the first quarter and most recently for the second quarter. They'll do the third quarter at the end of February and then Unity in March. You don't have any red. Red means no work has started in that area, so yay, celebrating successes. Yellow is work is in progress. Green is most indicators are in place, which is considered full implementation. And then blue is supposed to be sustainable, codified in policy where applicable, things like that. So I'll give you guys a second just to kind of take that in. And if you have questions, we're happy to talk through. And again, you're only in year 2. We would not expect to see everything green or blue. So,
What colors does Frisco?
they're not an SGS. So,
They got no color.
Yeah, that's right, they're beige.
to be fair, I looked at tons of board operating procedures. There's just a really good
That is really
good
I
thing.
think we
It's
used
good.
a lot of
Yeah.
SCUC.
So what's interesting is our conversation tonight around school choice policies and practices and school choice information. The district has self-assessed in both quarters at full implementation green. So not that there can't be more work to be done there, particularly as you evolve. But interestingly enough, and that's work that they haven't done with the EA yet. And then just, you know, for kicks, there's a link there in case you want to go and actually look at the rubric in full. All right, you guys comfortable with me moving along? Okay, so the board self-assessment. So what you have printed was last time. What I'm gonna show you on the screen is what it looks like now, because I waited until 2:30 today, just in case somebody wanted to do the self-assessment, because we were still missing, 6 people did it, so we're still missing 1. Okay, So this is just a quick snapshot. So everything that you see under quarter one, that was the first time we took it, so that's why it's all white, it was just baseline data. What you see in the second grouping is quarter two, that's what we did in December. And to be fair, that was not all board members either. And so that gives you a sense of what December looked like compared to August. So if it's green, it either stayed the same or went up, and if it's red, it went down. And so sometimes it changed just based on how it was distributed across all three, between almost always and often sometimes and then red and then red. And so then in quarter three, what you just did in the last week is reflected in that last set of columns where you see a lot more green than you did in the last assessment. Although we did have some shifts in terms of, we went from vision and goals being 100% to now being 94%. So that's an area of opportunity for us to talk through. So are y'all comfortable looking at individual sections now? Okay. Overall, do you think that's good?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a lot of green. I think it's really
Yeah.
good. Yeah. Okay. So vision and goals, I printed it because it cuts it off sometimes. Although that one's in full. So the only area of some disagreement related to frequency was uses the vision and goals to drive all deliberations, decisions, and actions. And so again, that could be as simple as, between December and today, something that y'all talked about where maybe you didn't think that necessarily held true. It could also be somebody who maybe didn't participate in the last assessment, but it is what it is. So is there anything that we should talk about there? Or it's just interesting?
I'll always talk about, I don't know why, like, somebody pushed the wrong button?
It could be that too,
Yeah.
although sometimes is in the middle.
So, yeah, so, a slip, the cat got in the way or something?
Yeah.
Because uses the vision and goals to drive all deliberations.
Well, that's why I said, maybe there was a topic or something that came up in a meeting or in a workshop that maybe. Okay, like I said, it was 100, the first two quarters, and then it changed.
Should have been 100 again.
No,
Okay,
I say we rack it up to 100.
Yeah.
district,
false information.
we'll see what happens in quarter four.
That's
Yeah.
bad intel.
District strategic plan, everything was 100%. Same with monitoring, well, no, not monitoring progress. Was that the other one that switched? Let me go back. Yeah, so monitoring progress got better. In Q2, it was, 89% said almost always and often versus 11% sometimes. And both of those changed, so now it's a 94-6 split. And the one area that's changed is consistently prioritizes a significant amount of board time and attention on the aspects of the strategic plan most likely to, let's see, impact the district's student outcome goals. So again, that could just be perception. Anything to talk about there? Okay. Was transparency one? Let me go back to transparency. Kind of similar to monitoring progress in that you went from 67%, almost always and often, to 94%. So a lot more consensus around that one. And the only indicator that had some kind of disparity was ensures the vision and goals are developed with input from faculty, staff, parents, and taxpayers, and reports progress towards achievement prominently and consistently to the same groups. So I think before when we've talked about that, there was some conversation about the idea of input in the development, so that might still be.
Dana, mine doesn't match your slides. This last group don't
She
match.
waited until.
That's what it looked like last time.
This was last time.
Yeah.
This is current.
This is current.
Okay.
But I didn't tell Camry, don't print those slides, because then you can see how individual indicators change.
Perfect, okay.
So, yeah,
Okay, so that's what wrote there.
yeah.
Yeah, can you go back to that one slide and we can take a photo of it?
Which one?
The greens and reds?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and after tonight, we'll send an updated deck, so you'll have a link to this also.
Okay.
So before I move to the next one's accountable governance. Quarter two, you're at 93%, and you went up to 98%. So let's look at that one. So that one, this is one of the only areas I think where you had more disparity in terms of almost always and often versus rarely never in NA, and that's around moves forward as a single voice after decision is made by the board.
Read that one again?
Moves forward as a single voice after a decision is made by the board.
Okay, move forward as a single voice.
We talked about this one before.
So
And we
I
have-
Clarify.
can't remember if I did that or not. So I'm afraid I did, only because we've never had a,
Yeah, I was gonna say, how are we not?
did you vote that way? I mean, did you put that?
No. Oh, Because
I
my thinking is,
Did you?
did, because I'm not understanding. Move forward as a single voice after the board comes to some type of
Split.
agreement.
Yes.
So each one of us, 7 of us can go out as a single voice, is this what you're saying?
Correct.
Well, at each, 7 of us go out, each one of us gonna have to say something different, although we did agree as a board policy. So how do we do that then?
I think-
Without us, because we're not.
I think the way I understood it was
Yeah.
because I've taken a course or I've heard it
Okay.
somewhere. If there's a split vote
right,
and you don't agree with the majority and you lost that vote, you're not gonna go out and say, well, I disagreed with them, whatever. You go out as a
And
whole
still support
board
the
and support the
decision.
decision made, moving forward. That's how I,
Body corporate.
But the way I'm understanding it is if we as a board, the 7 of us agree that now you're giving us the right for each one of us to go out and talk about it.
Oh, no.
No,
what
you
Ginger
saying that?
said.
No.
It was what
No,
Ginger
okay.
described. When the board doesn't agree 100%,
Okay.
whatever the decision is, when you go out, it's still one board, one voice.
yeah.
You don't go to
Okay,
talk
now.
about the disagreement.
You don't try to knock it
You don't
down.
air your dirty laundry. so to speak.
Right.
That too.
Okay, we got you. Mhm. Yeah.
Maybe next time,
But I can't remember if I did that or not because we are not split. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think I
We
read
haven't
into
had-
it too much by saying we move forward as a single voice.
Given
I
had
did that.
opportunities to practice that.
Yes.
maybe you just need to
You're on
vote
it.
no one time and then see it.
Well, I overthink. I know that y'all know this about me.
but I would also assume, or maybe I'm wrong. As soon as I said assume, I'm like, maybe not. I mean, although you might vote in a unanimous way, sometimes there might be some level of disagreement before you can vote unanimously.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, and so
Agreed.
then,
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
talk about that,
Agreed.
you don't tell everybody about the
Right.
the disagreement.
Right.
It's, you know what I mean?
This is
It
what
could
we
be applied in
decided.
that sense too.
Right, and I know that when we vote, no matter if it's split or not, unanimous, we as a board voted.
Right.
So I would never go out and say the opposite,
Right.
because I would look, first of all, silly, because I'm on the board. And if I didn't vocalize that during the meeting and it's on camera, then shame on me for now saying something different
Right.
on public.
Right.
So I don't know if I overthought that one and
Okay.
wrote that way. I hope not,
And to be fair, not every board functions like that.
but, right, yes,
This is true.
so I'm always in my life.
It's good that you do. Okay. And then the last one, this has been the same this whole time, although I do feel like conversations just in tonight's workshop related to actually putting some of these key practices in policy really brings that to life. Any questions or comments related to the self-assessment? Okay. All right. So we talked about a whole bunch of stuff tonight. Only 8:05,
Oh,
There's
wow.
no breaks,
That was
so
not good time.
with no breaks.
you can feel like you executed.
Yes. So we have two things left. One is quick whip around if each person could use one of these stems, thinking about the things that we've talked about tonight, and complete the sentence. Something you wonder, you want, you worry, or wish. And then after this, we just have a workshop evaluation. So this might help you kind of think about how you respond in the evaluation as well. And it can be on any topic.
The first thing that comes to my mind could apply to every one of them, because I wonder if the community knows how much we care about the students in the community itself. I want them to know. I worry that they don't know. I wish they knew. Because that's frustrating to me.
Yeah, I
We're
think
here for it. We love this community. Most of us are Hornets and
I
have
haven't
kids
heard
with
any
suicide.
complaints about any of us, so
No,
I
I
think
know,
that
but-
reflects a good job,
Not
at least.
complaints
what
about
we're doing.
us specifically, but just know that
Well, not being
what we
out there,
do.
right,
and why we do it and who we do it for.
right.
I wish that they would know that because it's important to me that they do.
That's fair.
I want to see the things that we talked about tonight, the changes that need to be made for policy and procedure. Like Roland said, make sure, I want to make sure that that is done and written so that for the future coming behind us sees fully and understands completely what our intentions were and what the meanings were behind it. And so that's what I want.
I love that. Anybody else?
I personally, I can do a bang-up job on presentations. I'm excellent with numbers. For whatever reason, policy and sublet A-D, I don't get. It just doesn't resonate. I wish I could understand that a bit more. And I think it's just me sitting down saying, okay, here's the procedures, like Monique, understanding it. Not to, just to follow along. You know, me being a new one here, it's kind of, when y'all say some of the things, I'm just like, okay, sure. Where do I vote yes? It sounds good.
And that's like, because I'm similar, I think it's time and then getting the cadence and then getting the
That may
training.
be it, yeah, just some time, you know.
That was me, I was the same, like drinking out of a fire hydrant.
Right,
Plus, whenever there's a next opening on the committee for policy,
right, right.
that could be a good thing.
Yeah.
Hey, it's yours.
Get on the policy committee. Y'all act like I gave you a little work.
She keeps me busy.
Yeah, I'll read it.
Anyone else ready?
I'll go. I'm gonna pick, they're all, you know, I can say something about each one, but I'm gonna say this, I want to continue the course in the way that we're growing and moving forward, right, for the kids' sake. I think this is neat. I mean, it's taxing, but it's worth it.
I want the board to continue to be transparent across the board with everything, every decision that is involved, the whole board, and which we are doing, but continue to do that in transparency.
I'm gonna say it's either I want or I need to understand more of these things, like how you register kids for school, because I've been out of that world for a long time.
Right. That's fair.
It's almost time to take kid up, just so you know.
Go for it. Experience it.
Oh,
Ms. Steele?
Well, I was trying to pick which one I wanted to pick. And I would normally wouldn't pick I worry, because it just kind of goes against what I, you know. But I am concerned, not about this board, but I am concerned about where education is going, what it will look like, and as Roland said, well, when he's gone, or when we're gone, or anybody's gone, or whatever. What that will, I'm concerned, I would use that word, you know, what this would look like, because look at all the work that we do, and look at all the things that, all of the innovative things that we do to try to all come together to help bring in productive innovative young citizens or whatever. I'm concerned about the climate that, you know, we're trying to massage around them for the future. And I guess you just kind of have to think about that a little bit. Although we try, we do a great job of insulating ourselves in our community and get along and all of these kinds of stuff. But the real world is where they're going. They're going out into the real world, where the big bad wolf, all of that is. And so I'm concerned if we have done everything we can. We're not trying to be their parents, we're not trying to be, but if we've done everything that we can to really help fortify them so they will be strengthened for challenges and all of the other things that go along and accompany education. Yeah, so.
Ever going to our wish?
Yeah.
That was
Well,
good.
kind of a both.
That was good.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
it.
One bird, one bird with two stones.
However you have it.
Yeah, that was perfect.
Okay, that was
That was
perfect.
perfect. That was perfect.
Any final thoughts you want to share?
I want to thank you guys because the work you guys have done this last year and a half to establish North Star goals and long-range goals and to support the direction that we've taken as a system has completely changed the way that we're working. And the outcomes are trending in the direction that we expect. And I want to acknowledge that all of you have maintained a focus on why you have decided to serve in this role. You keep the kids at the center and the community top of mind, and you haven't lost your way. We talk about this a lot, and we talked at the beginning about how important it is that we're an effective team and we're effective team members, and that takes a lot of humility and a maintenance of focus on the mission. And that's what this team is doing. And I hope that you can see that the quality of the work that we're doing, and the things that we're doing to make the vision that we have for our kids a reality, for this system a reality, are commendable. It's the right work at the right time, the right way, and we're all in this together. And we got great people in this organization that are ride or die. They're all in for the cause. So let's just keep leaning in.
Yeah.
Thank y'all.
Welcome.
Thank y'all for your participation.
Of course. Did you
It
want
felt
to
really
do
good.
this thing here?
We have one, last thing. It'll take less than 5 minutes. Because TEA likes us to have data that we can share about the work that we're doing in courts. Yes. Yes. It should be in the packet too if it's easier to do like last time.
Well, I had it and then it disappeared.
What are you gonna do, Ed?
Been wanting to do it the whole time, but didn't want to interrupt the conversation.
Pick it up.
You get it, Mom?
No, just go with it.
Dan, this is for, sorry, I was texting somebody, this is for tonight or
For
what?
tonight.
Okay,
Yep, for tonight. And it's broken down into the sections that we covered.
got it.
Is that it right
Thank you.
It helps second year that we've done the board pathway. And we changed a lot from year 1 to year 2, so we want to continue to.
Always
make it
learning,
better.
yeah, updating, yeah.
Don't push the wrong button on me, this is.
Yeah, no kidding, I'll read them.
I will tell you, when I read the survey data, I'm very confused sometimes. Because I'm like, did they need this or not, or was this supposed to be?
Yeah, slide me into it.
Yes.
I'll be waiting eagerly.
While he's doing yoga.
While I'm doing yoga program.
Well, you said we're doing yoga at 7.
Oh, it's a very long session, sir. It's a very long session.
It's a very long session.
I forgot.
Close the meeting. Who's going on it?
I have an exercise in here, I'm not starting now.
Next item on the agenda is adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I have adjournment motion by Mr. Santos. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Gerhart. All those in favor, raise your hand. Meeting adjourned.